My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, this is the Ontario Police Department that's engaged in stalking right now. It is 2:43 a.m. and the demons are amplifying helicopter activity. This is not quiet helicopter activity. It's disrupting sleep, and they're flying in the opposite direction because the demons know that I'm capturing video right now. This is demonic pacing and engineered light, and it's also pursuant to the pattern of conduct of stalking late night where I am at as well in that specific environment. And they're doing so pursuant to an ongoing documented pattern of that. The entity is engaging in flying in circles. This is the helicopter activity, and this is show you where he is, or excuse me, the demon are. This is 7-Eleven at 66 North Vine Avenue. The entity is engaging in what is circling in relevant position, gang stalking me in doing so. Understand this is relevant position. The entity engages in what is flying in circles while you will see the fake sun directly over my head. It's relevant position to me. It's audible activity while you're in relevant position to me. It's light activity while you are in relevant position to me. Monitoring, gang stalking, and unlawfully threatening as the gang stalking police department. And they are in relevant position to me in the specific environment, just like they were yesterday morning at 2 or 3 in the morning, stalking with helicopter in the specific environment. This is P.O.C. and this is the entity maintaining aerial surveillance. There's no planes taking off over here. The entity is maintaining planes over me and maintaining helicopters. This is the same documented pattern of conduct I've been capturing since 2018. The entity is sounding helicopter activity with regard to interrupting sleep. This is a means of documented harassment. LAPD doing the same thing when gang stalking me in my apartment, interfering with quiet enjoyment, doing so, interfering in the workplace, engaging in terrorism at the workplace in the specific environment. And this is the Ontario Police flying in circles, demonstrating mental illness in the specific environment, gang stalking again in helicopter. This is P.O.C. This is the TABOR professional building. This is what they were doing hours earlier, flying in circles around me, pacing at Euclid and G Street in relevant position to me. The entire time I was recording my podcast for 15 minutes, flying back and forth and back and forth and back and forth right at that intersection. That's relevant position. It's demonic pacing. It's pursuant to monitoring. And this is Ontario Police. This is what they're doing when I'm at the museum, flying in circles around me at the museum. This is P.O.C. This is the Ontario Police that is going to be disbanded. You're witnessing a police department being exposed for gang stalking. It's federal group stalking and monitoring. They're engaged in Title 18 federal stalking in violation of Title 18. And they are doing so in concert with the people of the state. They're not just gang stalking by themselves as a police department. Their gang stalking relies on the criminal engagement in the people of the state. It is public corruption as it is being exposed. The people of the state are gang stalking, as I have thoroughly documented that and exposed that as well. Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are going to federal prison for gang stalking and the way in which the Ontario Police Department is engaging in, and as I document, as I remain subject to it on an ongoing daily basis by the people of the state and by the Ontario Police themselves, who are following me around, harassing on a ceaseless basis, and specifically through the hallmark of using helicopters, which in California is the identifying factor of gang stalking by the police, criminal surveillance, criminal monitoring. It is currently 2:47 a.m. This is P.O.C. It is 6:19, as in June 19, 2025. It's currently 5:32 a.m. This is documentation regarding the video that you heard. That's the Ontario Police Department engaging in what is gang stalking, and the inspiration behind the moment that they began flying in helicopter in a perceptible manner, because the entity is maintaining 24-hour surveillance using planes and helicopters in concert with the people of the state, using all of the functions of a government that's engaged in criminal surveillance, which is a matter of public corruption, as the people of the state are gang stalking with the government. And criminal monitoring is demonic. The environment is proving that, just to provide the evidence of everything that I've established, everything that I've alleged. But the character, the conduct itself is demonic. So it's not just that I have alleged and proven through the P.O.C. that the entity is gang stalking me. Gang stalking is demonic activity, and the entity demonstrated that itself. I stated it, and the entity also demonstrated it itself. So I can't make them be demons. I can't make them be demonic. I can't make the environment demonic. The entity is demonstrating everything that I have alleged. And pursuant to this demonic pattern of conduct, the Ontario Police Department, that's a demon that's flying a helicopter at 2:47 in the morning in relevant position in the engineered light, and pursuant to a pattern of conduct of monitoring. Monitoring is relevant to what is also
spiritual warfare. So the demon possessed are engaged in what is gang stalking you, which is relevant to spiritual warfare. These are demons who are spiritually attacking, and the proof of that is the gang stalking in relevant position in the specific environment. They are also spiritually attacking with regard to what is psychological torture, and the entities engaging in things such as in the dream state, and the entity is engaging in what is monitoring with helicopters. So, for example, in the dream state, when you're asleep, I was sleeping, and when I'm sleeping and I see helicopters in my sleep state, that's when the demons started gang stalking in helicopter this morning, 2:47 a.m. These are demons that are monitoring. Monitoring is relevant to what is spiritually ongoing. If you do not know, the spiritual realm is real, and this is something that, again, this world society does not want to be discussed whatsoever. They want you focusing on the carnal, on the physical, and not on the spiritual, especially when you're subject to what is a spiritual attack, such as gang stalking, and what is monitoring, and this criminal surveillance system, which is demonic, in order that whenever anything like this is discussed or referenced, you automatically are written off and discarded, because nobody talks about those things and nobody refers to that and nobody believes in that, etc., etc. It's nonsense, and it's also a matter of what is conditioning your mind. And I have proven through the P.O.C. everything that I have asserted against the entity about what the entity is doing and the condition of the entity as it does it. These are demons. This is demonic. And this demonic reference is what is spiritual. Spiritual darkness, nonetheless spiritual. And it takes being spiritual in order to discern that. And I have proven what it is that I have discerned, okay? Proven what it is that I know about their condition, that these are demons and their demonic behavior and literally their mental illness, their psychopathic disorders is based on their spiritual condition. These are demon-possessed people who are sick, and their behavioral health issues is the decision that they make, the way that they behave, they act, and what they're doing, their criminal activity is because the fact that they are demon-possessed. All right, and their ability to stalk with activity, their ability to engage in what is gang stalking by helicopter, waking me up from my sleep state when I was seeing helicopters in my dream, which is a form of spiritually attacking me. So I want to, first of all, document that. It's currently 5:36 a.m. At 5:32 a.m., I'm asleep, and at the moment I'm in my sleep state, I'm dreaming about, I saw my website, and the name of my website was changed. Erica Spencer's ill work or something that I did not name it. And the moment that I see that, the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking by waking me up, by flying, targeting. There's no planes taking off over here. The government is clearly stalking, and I've demonstrated that. I'm letting you know that this is not only demonic activity because of their pattern of conduct, because their outward demonstration of demon possession. They are also monitoring with regard to knowledge about when you're sleeping, knowledge about when you're conscious, not having to look at you when you're engaged in physical movement and knowing that you're moving, not having to be around you and knowing and looking at you to know that you're in operation of your communication devices. These are literally people with demons on them, and demons are engaging in what is monitoring you and your mind, your thoughts in your sleep state when you're conscious and unconscious. And also engaging what are waging attacks against you. This is, again, spiritual attacks with regard to, first of all, thoughts that don't belong to you. If you suffer intrusive thoughts, that's a spiritual attack. Thoughts about harming yourself, thoughts that make you feel compelled to harm other people, thoughts about yourself that don't belong to you. These are forms of spiritual attacks. Thoughts about ideas and whatnot, thoughts that, in other words, for example, a lot of people refer to music and whatnot, songs that you're not necessarily thinking about but that pop into your head. That's the spiritual. I'll just say that's rooted in what is spiritual. And the demon possessed are engaged in monitoring. And this criminal system is based on monitoring. And this is a comprehensive attack by a government that's engaging in psychological torture. And the entity engages in this against the ordinary targeted individual that is defenseless, ignorant, and has no way of even, the entity even is engaging in what is, the ordinary target individual is even likely to concede to their own mental instability when you are subject to what is being attacked in all manner, being attacked physically in the physical realm, and you're also being attacked in the spiritual realm. So I want to give context to that. The demon possessed, the Ontario Police Department, these are literally demons. I'm not just calling names. Oh, they're demons. That doesn't mean anything. That actually has a term. And these are demon possessed people who are gang stalking. The sound of the train is the act of the demonic. When you see the engineer light flying in the air inside of Starbucks, that is an act of the demonic. It is supernatural. Those are demons that are surrounding me. And that's a demonic environment. When you see the engineer light moving across the outside of the building, sunlight does not fly off of cars or reflect off of cars. They're driving underneath the sun, sunlight coming from the sun at a downward trajectory. And then light is shooting horizontally perpendicular to that downward trajectory at the same time that they're driving. Those are demons. And those demons know who I am. That's also how you know the truth about what I'm speaking, because you have strangers who are indeed stalking, and their stalking conduct with regard to targeting me speaks to knowledge about who I am. As the fake sun remains over me, as opposed to everyone else where I go, where I remain, that's speaking to knowledge regarding who I am. Nobody has spoken to me. I didn't say, hey, I'm over here. Focus on me. Their focus on me is shown through their behavioral pattern. They're demons. They're also engaging in that pattern of conduct while the entity engages in its P.O.C. is pursuant to knowledge about what it is that I'm doing. As I've also documented that physical movement when I'm in the apartment by myself, nobody's around, and yet they're stalking with audible activity that's amplified in nature. The activity is created with simultaneity to what it is that I'm doing when nobody is physically around. And the entity is engaging in what is stalking with helicopter this morning, pursuant to monitoring me in my sleep. The entity is stalking with plane activity, pursuant to monitoring me in my sleep. This is also relevant to psychological torture, that which the government, the people of the state, are going to be prosecuted for. The pattern of conduct that they are engaging in the physical realm, stalking with light, stalking me under a fake sun, engaging in what is stalking with amplified audible activity, engaging in what is physically harassing, kidnapping, etc. All of this is relevant to psychological torture, harassment, domestic terrorism that you're also going to prosecute for. The entity is engaging in what is psychological torture, which is relevant to the well-being, relevant to an inhumane means of a government, an illegitimate interest of the government to attack an American citizen, and it's in spiritual manners. All right, and this is something that the government does not discuss, and I'm going to prosecute for that. It's inhumane. All right, it's currently 5:41 a.m. It is June 19th, 2025. This is P.O.C. This is amplified plane activity while the entity is necessarily targeting. It's the sound of the plane. It's demonic, not even requiring an actual plane. The entity is covering up the sky space, and it is evidence under all circumstances of stalking with amplified audible activity while the people of the state are on the path. Exhibit A. A 9HJG024. Gang stalking with the city of Ontario. This is P.O.C. This is 636 North Vine Avenue. It's 5:48 a.m. Going out and emptying the garbage is crossing path, and it's also pacing. You go in and out of the door, you're pacing. This is P.O.C. It's currently 5:48 a.m. This is the people of the state gang stalking with the city of Ontario, and this is a business establishment engaging in that. P.O.C. Eight VOD 708. That's a license plate at 6 a.m. Amplified plane activity. This is the entity stalking with a method of activity while a demon is at the drive-through window, stalking in the path at Starbucks. License 9TEX576, 5DNX602, 8UQJ918. License 5VOG870. And Starbucks is engaged in criminal surveillance on behalf of the government. The moment that the demons inside of Starbucks, who are stalking with noise and light all day long, Give the drink to the demon at the drive-through window as a means of stalking me in the path as I walk out of the parking lot. The entity is engaging in the P.O.C. and they are gang stalking with regard to stalking in the path as I move. And the entity is doing so pursuant to federal stalking knowledge about what it is that I state as I state it. And the amplified audible activity is while I'm crossing path and these demons are gang stalking at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. 9 BSD 645. And that's the demonic synchronicity of the demon possessed that are gang stalking, by the way. And as you are analyzing the physical, it's the government that's providing amplified noise of planes and the people of the 9BJZ453, just like I stated, stalking in the path by driving at the driveway, and they're engaged in surveillance, knowing who I am, waiting to engage in what is driving out, which is stalking in the path. 6ZEU331. And that's they're also engaged in gang stalking while they're at the drive-thru window. The most pathetic conduct. It's like stalking in a bathroom, because that's also what they do. They walk in, they for purposes of crossing path, they're going into the Starbucks where I'm at, where the fake sun remains all day long, where the government is stalking, clearly deviating from any plane takeoffs to a destination from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 to fly over and around the venue, and doing so with planes and helicopters, and doing so with gang stalking fire departments and police departments. And Chino Police, which is crossing path, I already got them in the engineer light. They're gang stalking right now at 6:04 a.m. But the entity is doing so pursuant. And gang stalking with the police is license 05363F1. Chino Police, that's a Latino male engaging in surveillance, waiting until I approach the sidewalk to cross path. That's maintaining presence in your path. That's what gang stalking is. And this is what the government is doing with the people of the state. These are demons. This is why the Ontario International Airport was flying over 323 and 325 West G Street. The people of the state remaining in the path, gang stalking where they reside, gang stalking by maintaining presence on G Street, and that is Vine and Euclid, those street, and Fern. Maintaining light activity while they're pacing around, and the airport is a means of amplified audible activity. The U.S. government is maintaining planes that are not commercial planes sitting in the sky space hovering over me all night long, while the puppets, who are the Ontario police, are engaging in what is attracting attention to themselves by amplified helicopter activity and amplified plane activity. The entity is doing so in concert with the people of the state that attract attention to them with the clown circus-like light activity while they are sharing in the elements of monitoring. And the entity is doing so while they're following me from the TABOR Professional Building to the 7-Eleven, flying over the 7-Eleven documented by amplified plane activity, and then stalking while I'm in the parking lot, stalking with amplified plane activity while the people of the state are stalking by sitting at the drive-thru window in order to cross path, sitting on the sidewalk in order to cross path, sitting at the traffic lights with the state controls with regard to crossing a path. All right, and they're doing so inside of the Starbucks while you're working at the venue. That's why you're subject to federal prison, in addition to the entity being heavily documented gang stalking with the police. Helicopter coming into the venue, crossing path all day long while the fake sun remains over their gang stalk with the police and the people of the state. This is P.O.C. It's 6:05 a.m. at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where I've already documented the fake sun en route to this venue, rising over me right where I'm documenting last night. The entity gang stalking by helicopter, like I documented the night before that, gang stalking by helicopter. And the entity is doing so through the people of the state and the fire department, the ambulances, and the Ontario police that uses vehicles, all manner of police resources to engage in stalking, monitoring. You're stalking pursuant to criminal monitoring. You're not engaging in what is being at work while you're monitoring. The two are not happening at the same time. You're engaged in stalking when you're criminally monitoring, and that's what Starbucks is doing, and that's how you're able to understand and recognize the malice of the pattern of conduct as it's embedded into society. The people of the state are monitoring everywhere that they're at, in places where they deem themselves to quote-unquote belong, which is nothing other than a means of admission to engaging in that pattern of conduct, which is proven to be underway where you work, prison, proven to be underway where you live, prison, proven to be underway systematically as you are engaging with the state. And the entity is also monitoring somebody that's prosecuting it, and that's prison, that's impunity. All right, so it's currently 6:07 a.m. and the entity is already documented keeping the fake sun at this time. So the entity is also keeping the fake sun over me in Los Angeles, and these idiots still put a fake sun over this Starbucks for 11, 12 hours, while LAPD is doing the exact same thing. And covering up the fake sun in the morning doesn't mean that the sun went somewhere else to shine and engaging, deviating from its pattern of what would be in a natural environment, because that's what you're comparing it to. Covering up the fake sun doesn't mean, oh, it started to rise out in Harupa Valley instead of on G Street at Woodside Senior Apartments because it felt like it today. And it'll come back to remaining over Starbucks at 11 a.m. And so you can then somehow logically, this is what the demon-possessed engage in, like you're going to somehow the pattern of conduct isn't underway because of that. This is the asininity of stalking with a fake sun. The entity's engaging in what is just corruption, but it's not intelligent at all, okay? And it's a plain and obvious engagement, as plain as the entity stalking with helicopter 4 and 5 times every day, every night. And I'm documenting that on an ongoing basis. And that's a pure pattern of conduct of harassment, in addition to the environment that is supernatural, in addition to the entity's pattern of conduct of harassing and making up allegations by the same police who are harassing on an ongoing basis in a supernatural environment. You are going to be prosecuted, period. It is currently 6:08 a.m. and the pattern of conduct, I put that in a succinct manner, but the pattern of conduct is even more elaborate than that. But that's to put it succinctly. The entity is going to be prosecuted with facts that are unavoidable, and the evidence is insurmountable and irreducible. It is a pattern of conduct that the Ontario Police is going to be disbanded for, the state of California is going to be prosecuted for, and it is also making demonic activity, the spiritual realm, something that people should not and cannot just ignore anymore because of what the government is doing in the spiritual realm, which is targeting American citizens while they're targeting them in relevant position in this country, where criminal surveillance is underway. It's 6:09 a.m. This is P.O.C. 7XVG779, bathroom monitoring at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. It's relevant positioning in terms of being seated in alignment to the bathroom door by being outside on the patio, a Latino male with a brown t-shirt on, and looks like hair pulled back in a ponytail, or it's got a shirt buzz hair if he's wearing glasses. He's gang stalking, he's bathroom monitoring for purposes of crossing path. And Starbucks personnel are engaged in the P.O.C. as always. And the entity is maintaining monitoring surveillance in a bathroom. These are sex offenders. This is P.O.C. All right, sex offender coming in and picking up a drink as a means of crossing a path while they're monitoring as I'm in the bathroom. License 9GMF 080, engaged in bathroom monitoring at the drive-through window. Engaging in surveillance just like they are when I'm walking up, and the entity's amplifying plane activity with regard to that demonic synchronicity to be at the driveway, driving out as I am walking toward them. Gang stalking, license 7PX CO26 and 38337Z1. Monitoring the vagina of the target individual, sex offenders acting in concert. A society gang stalking and monitoring the genitalia of a woman with the Ontario Police Department. Don't forget that. They're being disbanded. They were stalking all night in helicopter, and they're stalking vicariously through the people of the state. Good morning. I'm gonna get a hot tea. I would get hot tea. I would like the so if I get, sorry, so I need a reminder. If I get the honey citrus mint tea, which is what I want, then if I get a refill, then I just have to get a different type of refill, right?
Yes. I don't necessarily know if that one counts as a refill though, because
Oh, okay,
it's like a special latte.
So then I can't get that one in a refill.
I don't think so.
Okay,
no.
that's
You
what
can get like any other one though.
Okay, I will get the chamomile. I like the chamomile mint.
You got it. What size were you thinking?
Tall.
Yeah. Do you want it in the mug?
I like the mugs. It's really cute, but it's not as hot when it's in the paper cups. It's hotter. Can I get it in a paper cup still? And you guys will still know that it's a refill?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. It's just because I noticed when it's in the mug, it's
no,
like not
you're good.
as hot.
I know, because if you let it sit, it's just like obviously it cools off.
And I like it when it's piping hot.
Yeah, I get you. Just the tea this morning?
Good question. For right now,
That's okay.
yeah.
We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, just $3.25 this morning. Let me see. Okay. You can go ahead and scan. Do you want a receipt back?
Please.
Yeah.
I know how much.
Yeah, no worries. Alrighty.
Thank you. Amelia, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Surrounding behind me, being in line. That's a means of targeting. Being in a relevant position. They're always crossing paths by gang stalking, maintaining presence in the path. And this third party's license plate is 5M. Sorry. Hold on, let me get this. This third party's license plate is 8 Mary 65547. This is P.O.C. Gang stalking inside of an establishment like 7-Eleven is doing. Plain activity, walking out, emptying the garbage is crossing path, and it's pacing as you walk out and walk back in. And they're doing it in engineered light. And these are demons that engage in that. And it's state action, direct and vicarious. It's 6:21 a.m. P.O.C. See, S520B0. Let me confirm that. Yeah, amplify plane activity while they're crossing path, S520BO. This is E Street and Euclid, the same targeting by the Ontario International Airport. Plane activity on G Street, P.O.C. So as this third party with that license plate crosses path again, that's S52080. Amplified plane activity. He's monitoring as he enters into the venue. He's monitoring me while they know that I'm inside of the venue. He is crossing path, and he's gang stalking with the government while the business of Starbucks is a means of that criminal engagement. This is relevant to a RICO case. Okay, these are RICO charges. The criminal conduct is embedded into the business of Starbucks, and every single employee is engaging in that pattern of conduct. And the government is acting corrupt with the people of the state, and it's also speaking to admission regarding knowledge about who I am. You are not being gang stalked by strangers. The entity is targeting. They know exactly who you are. They know when your panties are down in the bathroom. Again, that's S520BO, and those images will be uploaded to the Google Drive. It's currently 6:25 a.m. The entity is concentrating plane activity over the 7-Eleven at 636 North Vine Avenue. That's G Street and Vine. Over 325 and 323 West G Street, where I'm at the TABOR Professional Building. That's Fern and G Street. While I am at the Starbucks, where I'm at right now, 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is E Street and Euclid. And the airport, again, is located at 2900 Airport Road and 2500 Airport Road. They have two terminals, Terminal 2 and Terminal 4. The entity is not only targeting, as you can hear the plane activity, as though they're taking off. When you take off, like I said, this is very common sense. They're taking off from the airports. Presumably where you are engaging in what is flight with a commercial plane to engage in going to a destination. And the entity's destination is to hover where I'm at in order to cross path and engage in the highly unintelligent and well-documented pattern of feigning a takeoff. And that's the explanation for the plane activity, but it doesn't make sense because planes are taking off from the terminals that are miles away from E Street and Euclid, from G Street and Vine, from flying over 636 North Vine Avenue, where the entity is hovering. You're looking at Delta Airlines hovering over 280 North Limit Apartments at the Ontario Town Square, where the OVITT Family Community Library is, and you are not taking off from the terminals in doing so. And it's evidence of targeting while they engage in the very idiotic conduct that they never intended to be scrutinized, and it's a very common sense level of scrutiny. In addition to the entity, what's relevant to a RICO case against the City of Ontario for gang stalking, and it's built into the pattern of conduct. Every business is gang stalking in the City of Ontario, and this is speaking to what the whole state is doing. But as I've documented businesses, I documented the OVITT Family Community Library, I'm documenting the City of Ontario, the municipality, I'm documenting Starbucks, I'm documenting the entity that is gang stalking inside of the Omnitrans bus routes. These are businesses that are engaging in criminal corrupt conduct, and they're doing so as a means of making money, which is like funneling drugs through your laundromat. But the entity is criminally monitoring through the business operations of its company. And this is what the government is doing vicariously through the people. And it is a ginormous RICO case. It is currently 6:27 a.m. And that's just simplifying RICO. It's a little more elaborate than that, but that is the crux of it. And it is a definite RICO case in addition to what is my documentation, my prosecution for the government monitoring. Hi. I was waiting for someone to wipe. I asked her already.
My supervisor told me to give you some wipers.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, of course.
Mind if I take like a couple?
Yeah, go ahead. Take as many as you need.
I'm gonna wipe off the table too. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, it's 6:28 a.m. Stalking in the path as I walk to the opposite end of the cafe, reversing. License at Stalking in the Path 9CFW254. It's 6:28 a.m. This is surveillance by the people of the state, and they're very unintelligent. So I am bullying the entity with documentation, evidence, and I'm going to prosecute all of it while the entity is targeting me as one. And these are demons who are spiritually defeated by Christ Jesus. Understand that. P.O.C. All right, it is 6:36 a.m. The sex offender monitoring my vagina yesterday with the neon green shirt, driving the white pickup truck, and then engages in surveillance by loitering in the path and engaging in psychological torture, harassment, and terrorism while in possible light. Flew all inside of this venue with regard to monitoring me under the fake sun. License 22564U3. And this is a male, heavy facial hair, olive skin, is inside of the venue right now. Gang stalking by purchasing from Starbucks. It's 6:37 a.m. Alrighty, this is Stalking with Light. Here's my shadow. And this is also a molestation. This is a sex offense and it's absolutely impulsive. It's on the inside. The fake sun is over here on the opposite side of the entryway. That's the sidewalk where the entity is keeping it over the logo of Starbucks. And this is the inside of the building where light activity is created systematically while McKesson is stalking in the path with light. The city of Ontario's gang stalking coming in engaging in terrorism. And this is an iteration of the same P.O.C. That's the pattern of conduct. Impossible light activity. This is where the Ontario Police Department comes inside, gang stalking, engaging in what is the a RICO case against the state of California and the business of Starbucks. That's gang stalking with the people. They're engaged in federal stalking. This is stationary engineer light, impossible, and the fake sun moves from the opposite end of the cafe back to as I move. That's not the same as McKesson. When those demons drive off in that with that logo on the vehicle, it will remain. This is where the entity is keeping the fake sun, as I'm documenting at 6 o'clock in the evening, and it's still over this entryway showing the same Starbucks logo where the entity is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. City of Ontario and City of Ontario vehicles coming in engaging in terrorism, being weirdos, stalking in the bathroom. Those that are gang stalking immigrants are going to be deported from the country. This is the fake sun moving as I move on the inside of the venue, where the entity is going into the bathrooms to engage in surveillance behind me, and the entity is terrorizing with impossible light on the inside of the venue, monitoring my communication devices, and doing so. So as the podcast is processed, as my documentation, my videos are being published, the light activity becomes more threatening and harassing. The people of the state, the city of Ontario, McKesson. This is called stalking in the path while Starbucks is pacing, because that's an employee pacing he's monitoring. They're all in engineer light. McKesson comes in knowing that I documented and is coming in purchasing a drink, engaging in federal stalking. You can see that light activity on the wall. That's a demon operating a vehicle with a brand name on it, by the way. And this is Title 18. This is relevant to what is a serious RICO case against the business Starbucks, McKesson, the city of Ontario. By the way, this is gang stalking as well, but this is multiple ways of prosecuting federal group stalking and monitoring. This is the P.O.C. The entity is maintaining the fake sun. Remember, California Highway Patrol is under the fake sun at 6:39 a.m. It is currently 9:24 a.m. And this is how you know that Starbucks is gang stalking. This is how you know that the entity is engaged in gang stalking together. And the stalking in the path with the McKesson vehicle is P.O.C. That's a demon operating a vehicle with a logo on it. It's demonic activity and it's criminal monitoring. And the entity does the same thing, monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, stalking with means of light activity like the city of Ontario is doing, like businesses engaging what is making a delivery while they're engaging in the elements of monitoring. The city of Ontario targeting with plane activity while they're gang stalking. And the entity is in the cafe engaging in surveillance in impossible light. The sun also, this is context, the sun is over the same building at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the faces change and the same criminal conduct continues. And this is stationary light activity. And then you have the dynamic light that's all over the walls. This is pursuant to what is criminal monitoring. The engineered light is relevant to the monitoring system. And this is the entity that's gang stalking in the same way that the Ontario Police Department is all night when I'm documenting videos of the Ontario Police flying in circles over my head, stalking where it is that they all know that I'm sleeping and all know who I am by virtue of the fake sun documentation. And this is not shared with Los Angeles, where it's over 507 North Euclid Avenue and it's over my head when I'm at work at 1810 North Alvarado Street. It also isn't the sun because it's still over that same sidewalk, moving as I move, remaining where I remain. When I leave at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, like I've been doing, going to the OVITT Family Community Library, where this light source is not over 215 EC Street at the same time. This is called stalking with a fake sun. It's the indicator that McKesson is gang stalking, creating criminal maintenance of light activity with regard to federal stalking, which is government action. McKesson is a third party, Starbucks is a third party, the city of Ontario is engaging in direct action. They represent the municipality. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:25 a.m. This is the pattern of conduct, and the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. with knowledge of everything that's being documented about it, the stalker, and that's relevant to the threat, the unlawful threat that the government poses. And this is under no circumstances any evidence that's reflecting on the character of the target individual, by the way, in case that isn't already abundantly clear when you're documenting the government engaging in criminal activity. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:26 a.m. They're all walking in that impossible light that you saw. McKesson is gang stalking, the city of Ontario gang stalking. All these demons are monitoring, walking in and walking out. This is P.O.C. It's 9:26 a.m. The fake sun that's right here in the entrance isn't going to cause that light activity that you see on the floor as well. That's a demon wearing that hat, driving a McKesson vehicle. He's monitoring me, and he's monitoring my vagina. And he's doing it with the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. All right, as the documentation uploaded to the Google Drive reflects, I remain at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and so does the fake sun. So the entity engaging in what is shining the fake sun based on my activity on my devices and on the internet. And this is also what inspires the pacing behavior inside of the cafe, in that what is then resulting engineer light, which is not sunlight. The engineer light occurs as the fake sun appears like it would be creating the illusion of a sunny day. It's just that on a sunny day when the sun is shining, first of all, it doesn't sit over one building and not move. If you don't move, and it doesn't remain exclusively over one person distinct from everyone else around that person. That's the identification of who is being gang stalked by demons in a demonic environment. That's called targeting, and it's by the government. That's what Starbucks is engaging in. And this is also speaking to the pattern of conduct by those gang stalkers who are stalking with light. They're coming in and picking up their orders. They're coming in and purchasing beverages, and they are engaging in satanic methods of flashing of light that is occurring in the peripheral. It's occurring all over the walls. It's occurring all over the ceiling. It's occurring, as I captured on video, on the floor. 8KPP794. That's a license plate right now at 9:53 a.m. And this is to bring again attention to actual mental illness. The demon possessed are, and this is the spirit of Satan, and that's where this demented behavior is rooted in. But in it's criminal. So you're prosecuting, but this is bringing alert. This is serious awareness regarding mental illness by those. This is a whole community. This is an entire city engaging in an identical pattern of conduct, which is entirely demented. They are unhinged with following me around with methods of light in an environment that's entirely demonic. Under a fake sun, they're stalking me with light. Under the fake moon at night, they're stalking with light. With the police department who is stalking with light, they are stalking with light. While I begin uploading the evidence about them stalking all together, capturing their license plates and capturing images of them sitting in engineer light, walking in engineer light, singing in engineer light, making coffee in engineer light, sweeping the street in engineer light, filling up your gas tank in engineer light, sitting at the traffic light in engineer light, making a delivery in engineered light. The entity is engaging in what is gang stalking, and this is what the city of Ontario is engaging in, while demons stalking are using commercial planes, are using helicopters. And the scene that I'm capturing on a nightly basis with the Ontario Police gang stalking in engineered light is the same pattern of conduct that the demon-possessed people of the state are engaging in inside of a Starbucks. While I walk to one end versus the opposite end, that fake sun moves in alignment to me. While you see them stalking in the path on the inside of the cafe, while you see them pacing to and from the bathroom, they're stalking me, not focusing on relieving their genitalia, they're stalking me. And the pacing conduct is proven through the placement of light that's flat on the ground on the inside of the cafe. Absolutely supernatural. It's also supernatural while the sun is sitting over me in Los Angeles on the same day at the same time of year. It's also supernatural while I'm documenting the entity keeping a fake sun, as I've documented in Monrovia, in Pasadena, when I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I am remaining inside of Tracy Banks' apartment at Woodside Senior Apartments, where I am remaining at what is literally the 1627 West Holt Boulevard. I can give you venue after venue. The San Bernardino County Transitional Assistance Department, where the fake sun is over me and the Ontario International Airport is not taking off
over 323 West G Street in Ontario, at G Street and Fern. They're taking off right there on Hope Boulevard, which is adjacent to Airport Road. It's still gang stalking. They are hovering even at that location right there where they were rising in elevation, feigning a takeoff for the audible activity that you hear. Even that was deviating, but that's where planes are taking off, rising in elevation. They are all the way over on East Street, right as though the planes are taking off behind the the University of Law Luverne, College of Law, a gang stalking institution, by the way. And the entity is engaging in what is hovering over the Unicare Community Medical Center right here at East Street across from the Starbucks. They're flying directly over the Starbucks, like I documented. Upon my exit, I believe this was June 4, 2025, at nightfall. Amplified plane activity, terrorism, as I walk outside of this Starbucks, where the entity is gang stalking, evident through a supernatural occurrence such as the sun sitting over the building all day long. California Highway Patrol left Chevron gang stalking me under the fake sun hours ago yesterday, and the fake sun is still over the same street, over the same building, over the same person, and it didn't move until I walked to the OVITT Family Community Library, which is also proving that a bunch of psychopaths who are actually mentally ill, and this is, again, bringing awareness to mental illness that is a threat to the public. Because these are ticking time bombs, and they're engaging in what is a secret means of targeting American citizens who typically succumb to it. They engage in what is ruining their lives, ruining their professional careers if they have one, ruining the prospects for whatever personal romantic relationships that they have, while they penetrate every angle of their life, and then want to denigrate and malign their character while they're targeting, and they're gang stalking them, stealing property from them. Stealing their reputation, stealing whatever their creations are, and nobody knows about it. Taking their life. They are gang stalked and then they lose their life. There's no car accidents, there's no act of negligence, there's no mistakes with regard to the surveillance system and the gang stalking conduct of the entity that's keeping American citizens under surveillance and targeting some of that population, whoever the demon-possessed choose that they want to target. And it's government action. While the government controls that narrative, they're not accidents, they're manufactured circumstances in order to accomplish a murder as an entity. It's happening under a fake sun. It's happening amongst engineered light where monitoring, surveillance is underway. And the entity is doing so pursuant to my prosecuting and documenting it. So the entity's engaging was entering in, and all you see is, while I'm in here, just light all over the place, just flashing light. These are mentally sick psychopaths. To sit in a bathroom in order to stalk another person, the details regarding that type of sick mind, that type of desperation, that type of making a person that you don't even know me that important to you, to be in a bathroom in the first place, to stalk somebody else using devices, this is mental illness. It's actual mental illness. And the entity is, again, what I'm documenting inside of the Starbucks, what I'm documenting where the Chino police are gang stalking at the traffic light, like I documented again this morning on my podcast. This is not different. It's the exact same pattern of conduct, while the Ontario Police provides me video documentation of stalking in the path at G Street and Fern at the TABOR Professional Building, because this is all the state gang stalking inside of the Starbucks, working at the Starbucks, engaging in what is maintaining presence inside the Starbucks, and doing so of all races, all ages, and all statuses. Okay, the entity is engaging in what is absolutely psychopathic, and this is bringing, again, awareness to mental illness. The entity that is gang stalking is severely demented, and they are unhinged, and it's something that the demon-possessed want to remain closeted, and it's not closeted. While they target me, and while they can't control themselves in targeting me, and while they also are delusional with regard to it's fully exposed and everybody sees that they are targeting, and they also see the demonic ways that they're doing it. None of it is a secret. None of it at all. No one is listening to what I'm stating and doubting the veracity of my speech, doubting my analysis, the accuracy of what it is that I'm observing, what it is that I'm reporting. Nobody is second guessing. I've already established my credibility, my documentation, my evidence. It's too long standing, and it is entirely consistent. It is impossible for my evidence to be consistent for this long amount of time. If someone was making it up, if somebody was inaccurate, if somebody did not know what they were talking about, you would not have that long existing body of evidence that is entirely consistent. You would not have that. In addition to what the demons do, corroborating the evidence against themselves. Nobody is doubting what you're witnessing, what I'm exposing to you. No one. No one is doubting. Only the demons are delusional. They get up and they lie to themselves in the morning. They tell themselves that they like themselves. They tell themselves that they're winners. And then they come to the Starbucks and stalk my vagina in the bathroom. Okay? They come to work to engage in stalking another person, conceding that they believe that they're not worth anything, that their entire existence is centered on somebody else. Somebody else's genitalia, somebody else's documentation about criminal conduct that the government has no business engaging in, somebody else's property that they're conspiring to steal as a government. All right, this is the entity that's demon possessed. These are the deeds of the dead. They're hollowed out zombies. They look like human beings. Yes, they are flesh and blood. If you poke them, they're going to bleed. But these are demon possessed people. They're already dead. And their conduct with the light is demonstrating it. Headlights don't do the things that I'm showing you that they do. Building lights, artificial lights don't do the things that I'm showing you that it does. Driving outside under the sun does not create the light activity that I'm documenting. Opening and closing doors does not create that light activity that I'm documenting. All right, standing outside, your shadow appearing in the shade, your shadow appearing upright like a person, you're looking at yourself upright and instead of your shadow being on the ground, these are demons. These are the demon possessed. And they obsess, the demonic spirits that are using them obsess over people like myself. And they're using these hollowed out meat suits to stalk me. And they also occupy government positions. And those demons are being removed. Those demons are being exposed. Those demons are going to be prosecuted. Many of them are going to federal prison. The Ontario Police Department is going to be disbanded. This is a gang stalking that's underway by the people of the state inside of a cafe. At the TABOR Professional Building, it's gang stalking underway by the same population while the population acts with the entity, the Ontario Police, stalking in helicopters. And I just want to make sure that this is clear. This is exposing mental illness, and it's a threat to national security because you have demons that are flying commercial planes. They're inclined to murder people for no reason, just fly into buildings. You've already seen this on the news. They're not accidents. It's not a technical failure. This is a surveillance state where this is ongoing surveillance that you weren't supposed to know about. And in addition to that, it's demonic. And the people that are engaging in it are of a demonic condition. They're demon possessed, meaning they're not just, having a bad day and feeling like doing some nefarious things. The spirit of Satan animates their person. They engage in psychopathic pacing, walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth in the engineered light, monitoring, stalking. Based at any moment in time, based on what I do, the cafe totally empties out or a whole bunch of demons fill it at one time. It's all centered on me. They're demons. They're dead. They're a bunch of hollowed out zombies with the spirit of Satan. And they're stalking with light. What you see on video, the demons that are holding the flashlights, the Ontario Police that use the spotlight with the helicopter, the Ontario Police, the fire departments, the AMR ambulances that use their vehicle lights, they're demons and they're stalking with light. Okay, the entity is engaging in this, and I want to document many of the psychopaths by license plate. As I began processing my podcast this morning, the demons, their behavior in real time begins becoming more and more maniacal. And that's a threat. You're prosecuting and you're analyzing the threat, the unlawful threat, by the government that has no business stalking in the first place. And this is where they begin pacing around, going in and out of the bathroom, 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 in and out of the bathroom. And the engineer light fills the cafe all the way to the interior of the wall. So my thighs, my body, my breast is being molested with light that's not even the product of sunlight. That's a sex offense. You're going out of your way to touch my person while you're stalking me and monitoring the evidence about you stalking me, which you knew I was going to put on the internet the next day when you were stalking me all night in helicopters. That's the psychopath that's being removed from law enforcement. These are the psychopaths that are going to be prosecuted. And they're acting on behalf of the psychopaths that were stalking in helicopter. Okay, they're going by Amelia, working at the Starbucks, making drinks and stalking with audible activity all day, pacing like a psychopath that she is, a demon-possessed one, a domestic terrorist, and a violent sex offender, monitoring my vagina. Okay, and would probably speak to, I don't know her personally, but she would probably, I'm guessing, state that she's heterosexual, but she's engaged in homosexual conduct, monitoring my vagina. Attention that I do not welcome from women, and attention that I don't welcome from any male either. Certainly no demon-possessed one. If I didn't invite you into the bathroom to look at it, you shouldn't be monitoring it. And it is no legitimate government interest, and that's exactly what they're doing with amplified noise in the bathroom, pacing in and out of the men's and women's restroom in order to engage in pacing in the They're stalking on the sidewalk outside. They're keeping the fake sun. They're stalking with engineer light flying inside of the building. They're stalking like psychopaths while engineer light is flying all over the floor while they open, and it's all based on my vagina inside of the bathroom. She's naked, she's pulling her pants down, they're pacing. The entity is stalking amplified, with commercial airline planes, all centered around my vagina. They're stalking by the drive-through. Remember, everything that they're doing is synchronized. Movement, and they're doing it at Starbucks. They are told their drinks are ready. They get up with regard to stalking me. Their drinks are prepared, given to them in the drive-thru so that their vehicles move with regard to stalking me. The traffic lights at the intersection of E Street and Euclid Avenue, they are going and stopping at the light, even the light before at F Street. They are going based on stalking me, based on what I'm doing, based on what I'm doing on my devices. This is psychopathic, and it's demonic synchronicity amongst a bunch of spirits, demonic spirits. And they engage in sexually perverted conduct. And it is psychopathic while they go around flashing light all over the place. These are unhinged psychopaths that are a threat to themselves. And they are even, they're psychopaths also because they are hostile while I speak the truth about their character, while they're the ones engaging in the behavior. And that is what is revealing mental illness. That's behavioral health concerns. That's behavioral health issues. And there's a reason why the entity is projecting mental illness with regard to the very real system of gang stalking. It's not a fable, it's not a hallucination, and in addition to that, we're well beyond that. And not only that, it's speaking to the mental illness of that entity. And so, since the entity wants to bring in mental health and behavioral health into the conversation, we're going to assess the behavioral health issues of the demons who are gang stalking. And at the forefront is Nathan Morgan's mental health issues, C. Torres's mental health issues, L. Martinez's mental health issues, and B. Hook's mental health issues. Their behavioral health that are exhibited when they are maliciously engaging in what is wanting to appear as one thing when they're engaging in something entirely different, which is malicious and psychopathic, serving no legitimate purpose whatsoever. Because monitoring me with Tracy Banks in furtherance of kidnapping and murder makes no sense for a legitimate police department to engage in. And they're not legitimate. They're gang stalking in conformity to a pattern of conduct that I've documented amongst a plethora of other police departments. But the Ontario Police Department have essentially convicted themselves by stalking me so heavily for so long and kidnapping me so many times for no reason and never having any support under the actual law that they don't even abide by when they're engaging in kidnapping and exercising fictitious authority under it. You don't have authority under the law, by the way, when you're gang stalking as a police department and as a court and as a sheriff's department. You don't have any, and that's how you're going to be treated under the law, like the criminals that you are. Those criminals dress up like it's Halloween every day. They dress up like it's Halloween every day, like they have authority and they don't. And no one's supposed to know that they're criminals, that they're engaging in surveillance. And they're going to be treated like the criminals, the stalkers, the sex offenders, and the mental health cases that they are. That's exactly how they're going to be treated. All right? So I want to document the entity. I want to be clear. Let me reiterate. The entity that is gang stalking by pursuant to having been granted a privilege, not a right, a privilege to be in this country, you are losing that privilege. You lost it. The moment that I'm documenting you, the city of Ontario, the entire city of Ontario, all residents, all households in the city of Ontario are gang stalking. The gang stalking immigrants are being deported. So I just want to make sure that that's abundantly clear. And there is no exception with regard to staying. I don't care if you formed a business, and I don't care if you had children in this country. I don't care if you served in the military in 1973. You're gang stalking me in 2025. Is the basis whereby you are out of this country. Terrorism is not accepted whatsoever. And that is your communication that you don't even like this country. And you can get out. You will be getting out, period. So it's Trump's deportation, his immigration sweep, it's timely. But in addition to that, this prosecution of the state of California, it's going to address more that need to be deported with regard to me. You may have your papers in line or whatever it is that you think you're safe. No, you're not. You're gang stalking and you will be deported. All right, so I want to make sure that that is clear. It's currently 10 a.m. and I want to document right now the people of the state gang stalking and rising and escalating the light activity, escalating the demonic pacing, which is a threat to my safety. A whole bunch of unhinged psychopaths stalking me with light activity and stalking me in the path by pacing all around. Their mental illness is a threat to my safety and well-being, while the Ontario International Airport is deviating anywhere near from an airport, which is also a threat, while I'm surrounded by it and I'm analyzing it, I'm witnessing it, I'm documenting it every day. I'm going to prosecute for it. It's an unlawful threat posed by the stalker. That is the state. License 8 Apple, Florida, Larry, 892. I believe 8AFL 892. That's what that looks like. Let me confirm this really quick. Is that an L? That's a 1.
because I was using my laptop because I was processing my podcast on my phone. So I have to multitask because these demons that are monitoring are engaging what is psychotic conduct with the light as I begin processing on my device, which is an unlawful threat, and I documented the demons pacing in and out with this flashing of light, like thunderous light occurs when you open the door. That's an unlawful threat to my safety, and I'll prosecute you. You want to demonstrate your mental illness outwardly for it to be openly documented, you to be prosecuted and diagnosed, then that's fine. That's exactly what I will note. And you'll be treated accordingly. You want to be a sex offender, stalking people and monitoring genitalia in bathrooms? You want to do that as a police department? Then that's fine. You'll be documented. You're going to be treated accordingly. The entity wants to mask its maniacal conduct, its sexual perversion, its criminal activity. And there's no mask. We're ripping all those masks off. And the appropriate analysis goes toward the entity that's targeting. It is bearing no reflection on the character of the targeted individual. This is utterly ridiculous what the entity is continuously doing, and you're not accomplishing that. Neither is that ever anything that's bearing on the targeted individual's character when you're documenting the stalker. So the entity is acting as though it's not already established that you're gang stalking. No, there's no question here. You are targeting, and that's already established also by the evidence. In addition to that, you're still targeting more like a psychopath, like a delusional maniac, when you are failing to understand and recognize the facts that you have in front of you, and you're still targeting as though it's going to project onto me your mental illness. No, it will not. That's totally illogical, and that's never going to happen. It is literally not going to happen. Neither is that how you are ever addressing actual mental illness. The entity that's engaging what is this propaganda in this country about mental illness, and it's also relevant that the entity is doing so when I'm exposing things such as fake conservatorships, fake marriages. You have insurance policies out. You have fake death certificates. You have the entity engaging what is trying to profit while they're gang stalking an American citizen, taking loans out in the name of the targeted individual. The entity engaging all manner of criminal conduct surrounding the American citizen who is being targeted. By the way, that also lets you know that you're not being stalked by strangers. You're being stalked by an entity that knows exactly who you are. In addition to the specific environment, telling all of their secrets. The fact that they're all stalking one person and stalking that person's genitalia. Don't forget they're sex offenders. Everything that the entity is doing. So I want to be clear, you're not going to punish the targeted individual. You're not going to defame the targeted individual. You are stalking that targeted individual. All right, and it also is speaking to what is necessarily going to change with regard to the landscape in the medical profession. I'm speaking to and experiencing and witnessing and documenting and observing also what is the corruption in the medical field. I mean, I was witnessing that in the legal field as well, but in the medical field with regard to, I don't have to have a degree in medicine to understand what is absolutely absurd with regard to what you're using to then feign or masquerade, that is defame, in other words, libel somebody's character on paper when you are abusing your position as in the medical profession. And you're abusing it when you're gang stalking me in the medical profession at this hospital. You're gang stalking. I'm here pursuant to kidnapping. You know that I'm not mentally ill. In other words, you're targeting me. And then on top of that, let's take the gang stalking P.O.C. out of it. You have no information, no facts. You haven't even had a conversation with me. And you're using the absence of information to create a diagnosis on paper. That's not the practice of medicine. You have a right to not speak to them. There's so many potholes with regard to what I have observed and speaking to the system that's broken, and that brokenness is there on purpose as well, because this is how an entity is engaging in targeting. This is exactly how. And in addition to that, you have those that, in the absence of no information, which is speaking to, you're so subjective. Oh, she doesn't talk? And it looks like she's, huffing and puffing while she's not speaking. And so we're going to diagnose that. And I'm just giving you an example of the nonsense. That's not the practice of medicine, and anybody can do that. You don't have to go to medical school. If that's what you call yourself doing, that's not the practice of medicine, and that is not specific facts and information that are demonstrating somebody could not be speaking in order to control themselves, which is not the exercise of somebody with a behavioral health issue. They're controlling, there are so many reasons where you can go with that that's so subjective. In other words, it is not a science, and I also find it to be something that is unjust with regard to using that unscientific and highly biased, and it is also exposed and, as I'm showing, given over to corruption, just like the gang stalkers prove, in order to steal your property and take your liberty. The risk is too high. The risk outweighs what is the so-called benefit that's derived from enabling the seizure of one's property and
one's liberty based on this so-called practice of this mental health, this behavioral health phenomenon, when the entity is masquerading mental health by gang stalking American citizens, when the government is corrupt and engaging in that targeting system, oh no, the laws have to change because the government can't be trusted. It's all premised upon the government being one that is trustworthy. And the entity engaging in surveillance, which is happening in this country, is directly rebutting that. It's directly rebutting that. And so if somebody doesn't want to voluntarily go into a hospital and be subject to whatever, then you don't have a right to hold them. And this is what I'm advocating based on this gang stalking system that the government's engaging in. You have psychopaths, the Ontario police, that are engaging in criminal defamation, and they are literally the ones in need of mental examinations. No exaggeration. You have to be in control and highly balanced in all of your mental faculties in order to do what it is that I've done. In order to document, in order to maintain your control, when I see exactly, not only spiritually that they're demons and that they're also out of their minds, their mental illness is based on their spiritual condition, but also the malice with which they're targeting me and the lies that they rely on and their group conduct. All they do is lie together, and the entity relies on numerosity. Oh, a whole bunch of liars lie together, and that makes it the reality, that makes it the truth. All right, so the entity is monitoring. So my battery died. So you have a new duo of demons that come in order to be present in the path, in the engineer light, under the fake sun, as I turn my phone back on, charge it back up. It's the same P.O.C. And that level of obsession with what is it's already a lost endeavor. There will be no sacrifice. The entity has sacrificed itself. There are people that are going to prison, and there are people that are permanently done with whatever career path that they're in. Oh, they're never going back to that. And also the trajectory of their lives, because this is going to be a prosecution that requires it remaining on their criminal record. You're not getting this expunged off of your record for being a sex offender, and it's a sex offender as the entity, a government that's engaging in what is domestic terrorism, that's staying on your record, and it's going to be a violent sex offense, and you will not be able to get that expunged, and it will permanently change and alter, and that's necessarily the case, and that's justice, the trajectory of their life going forward. And this is a crime committed by a population, and that population is engaging in that P.O.C. in real time. So 10:23 a.m. example, a demon paces in and out of the bathroom with minor children in custody, and possible light fans across the wall while that sex offender paces in and out of the bathroom, walks in, wets her hands, walks out. At the same time, the engineer light fans across the wall. That's the entity gang stalking in sync, this demonic synchronicity with the light that's entirely impossible. They walk in with spouses and children, and they're gang stalking, engaging in what is sexual violence. And you're looking at the families that are gang stalking in Ontario, that are engaging in criminal activity, that are encouraging us amongst minor children as well, bringing in your teenagers that are pacing around like little psychopaths. And this is what you're encouraging them to do. It's something that is very disgusting, but this is the demonic. These are the dead. The dead are engaging in procreating, unfortunately, and they bring forth children that are engaging in demonic behavior from the womb, by the way. They're in darkness, and they're in darkness with their gang stalking parents, and they're engaging in, with regard to the government, the government's engaging in and incentivizing corruption, and the corruption and the ongoing criminal engagement of the pattern of conduct by minor children. And that's also sick as well. This is how you're getting to the support for disbanding the police department. That's gang stalking. And there is so much that I can go into, but I focus on a lot of the documentation, the immediacy of what's going on. I do go into some analysis, but there is a tremendous amount of information with regard to, and reasons why, foundational reasons why a gang stalking police department like the Ontario Police is necessarily being disbanded and barred from law enforcement anywhere in the country. And this is based on the type of crime that it is, the type of offense that it is, how un-American it is, how antithetical it is to what they're supposed to be with regard to the government as well, and what it is that they're actually doing to the community while they're engaging in this system with the people of the state. It is literally something that is it's a betrayal of what is supposed to occur between the civilian population and law enforcement, and they are engaging in what is a very highly unfortunate, and it's also providence at the same time that it's exposed, and it's something that is speaking to an unhealthy level of a dark sense of authority that a gang stalker like the Ontario Police would have over the community. So you have the criminal justice system, and then you have what is the actual way in which things are working, where they exercise authority and brute strength over people that are scared of them because they're engaged in this criminal system. And they're not going to get any assistance actually because of this corrupt system that's underway. And it creates a whole other type of reality with regard to this type of corruption that the entity is engaging in. So you have the entity that's engaging in this conduct, and to see somebody that is with their newborn kids, with their spouses, it's entirely disgusting. They're monitoring the genitalia as a family. You're thinking about everything that they're engaging in the P.O.C, and then you're looking at her occurring between two parents and their newborn kids, and they're engaging in this pattern of conduct. It's not sweet or sympathetic, it's disgusting. And this is Satan's family. This is Satan's family unit. That's the demonic, that's the demon possessed. So they're standing under the fake sun monitoring. They're holding their newborn children, creating activity. They're together gang stalking another American citizen. They're doing it with regard to the corrupt system in concert with the gang stalking police department. And this is the people of the state's version of stalking me in helicopters all night long. This is what they're doing in the cafe. This is the people of the state's version of that pattern of conduct, okay? It's entirely maniacal and it's sick. And they're the same ones that are engaging in flicking and flashing and slinging light all over the place. This is the environment where you're in here gang stalking with minor children. It's not anything that's sweet or sympathetic whatsoever. It's nauseating. It's also very disturbing. Okay, it's currently 10:27 a.m. So I want to document the entity that is gang stalking, the entity obsessively engaging in what is, this is also getting to their mental illness. I am always publishing the evidence. That's the whole point of what I'm doing, because I'm going to prosecute. So, let me put it in these terms. The state of California is already prosecuted. That's how sure this is. The demon-possessed, however, the living dead, who have no hope, they have no foresight, they also are literally degenerates that lack the ability to, there's no faith there, and there's no insight, there's no wisdom there, there's nothing there. And I don't care how college educated that they are. You've seen a lot of educated idiots stalking me under the fake sun. You've seen a lot of professional Neanderthals gang stalking me under the fake sun. Whatever it is that they think they are, they're being found out as they're nothing but low-life criminals and perverts. Under the fake sun, gang stalking, all the same. And God is no respecter of persons. They're all equally disgusting. They're all equally corrupt, regardless of their education level, regardless of their socioeconomic status. So somebody that's sitting on the side of the dumpster, a bum that comes in here smelling like fecal matter, they're not different from the demons of the Ontario Police Department. They're both monitoring my vagina. They're both pacing around like psychopaths and engineer light. They're both engaging in that P.O.C. with an equal disregard for the law, and doing so while they've been fully exposed. So this isn't making anybody look like, they look like the psychopaths that they are, and that's good because it needs to not be concealed. And the people of the state are in here engaging in what is pacing with regard to that pattern of conduct, including the employees in concert. So I've already Amelia is a gang stalking demon. You see her with impossible light all over the menu, on the wall, all over the side of the wall, while Corey Watson of the Ontario Police Department is inside of the venue. And then you're mindful of what the entity is doing at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, stalking in helicopters. And then you're gang stalking wearing a uniform representing the same department in the specific environment, gang stalking with these demons that are inside of the Starbucks during the day. And it is replete with the same helicopter activity and the same plane activity over the Starbucks, but it's the same P.O.C. These demons that are the people of the state bring in their newborn kids to engage in the pattern of conduct. They don't have access to planes and helicopters. This is how they create activity. And they're doing it under the same fake sun, under the same engineered light. And it is equally disgusting and corrupt that this is the average nuclear family that's demon-possessed and is engaging in criminal conduct. And it's why the Ontario Police should be disbanded. All right, just to put it succinctly, but there is much more foundation to why police departments that are as corrupt as the Ontario Police Department are literally they're a wound to society, and they are to be removed based on that. And it is for the betterment of society. They are a threat to the public, including the demons, the corrupt people of the state that are monitoring with them, including them. It is currently 10:30 a.m. So the following is the people of the state that I'm documenting at 7:48 a.m. This is at or around the time that I began processing my podcast. And the entity is engaged in federal stalking the entire time. So with the Wi-Fi 6 at Starbucks, all of the demons are surrounding stalking, and that's including through traffic, that's including through all the adjacent buildings, that's including law enforcement, the city of Ontario engaging in federal stalking, all of them focusing on trying to slow down my internet access. It's so pathetic.
It is so pathetic. But nonetheless, the entity is engaging what is slowing down the internet while they're still stalking. And it's not stopping. I still document, I still publish everything. And I publish their criminal tactics of obstruction of justice, which is adding to how long you're going to federal prison. All right, it's adding to the level of mental illness exhibited in your criminal activity. It's adding to the level of damages that corporation is going to be liable for. The entities engaging in this, and federal stalking is always underway, including on the venue of the internet, including to the pettiness of trying to just slow down the internet so she can't, at least she's going to get it uploaded, but at least we'll slow it down as much as we possibly can. This is the pettiness of a loser. And that's the demon possessed that are gang stalking me. They're all stalking me, and their mental illness is put at the forefront of each and every one of their criminal prosecutions and civil prosecutions for gang stalking. So at 7:48 a.m., the entity starts shining the fake sun, and the fake sun's in the same position at 10:31 a.m. right now. And you know this because California Highway Patrol is gang stalking under a fake sun. It's in the same position right now in alignment to me. And this is the entity stalking in an environment where a population is sharing presence. And that's the significance of the specific environment that is present day and night, the engineered light. All right. So 7:48 a.m., 8 AFL 892. 8HNR 252. The same third party that was present gang stalking with the neon yellow shirt that I documented in the white pickup truck, engaging in what is psychological torture, harassment, terrorism. While I'm inside of this cafe, an impossible light is shooting all over the place, shooting all over my person. It's flat all over the ground, all manner of an unlawful threat posed to my safety and my well-being and my liberty. While the entity is gang stalking with the police, engaging in a pattern of kidnapping, gang stalking with the police that are obsessively stalking by crossing path in traffic, by engaging in things like I documented on video, engaging in surveillance, psychopaths stalking with their back to you. Weirdo demons, and the people of the state engage in that same conduct. But luckily, actually there's no such thing as luck. I take that back. I repent. Thankfully, the entity is being shown to be the mentally ill targeting entity that it is. And where the entity is engaging what is stalking somebody and looking to the opposite sides, the entity is engaging in what is terrorism and harassment by stalking in the systematic means such as traffic, in concert with the entity that is gang stalking by engaging in doing something such as sitting in a restaurant where you're wanting to appear as though you're focused on one thing, and the entire purpose, the entire environment is centered on targeting someone else with the intent to psychologically harm that person in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. That is the outward demonstration of psychopathic and antisocial disorders. The entity is engaging in conduct, specific facts and details regarding the pattern of conduct that's shared by that population that's maintaining traffic inside of that venue where the fake sun and the engineer light remains, where that ongoing systematic means of the monitoring by the government using planes and helicopters and vehicles all around, pacing all around, and also their mental illness is shown because you're understanding the significance of all of the light that's present. Where your shadow's appearing in the shade, where your shadow is upright, your shadow is the same density and size as you, it's upright like you're standing in front of a person that's your shadow version of yourself. Those are demons that are pacing. And their mental illness, they intend to keep that mental illness of them stalking you, of them engaging in what is an ongoing objective of just maintaining presence around and around and around and around and around and around and making sure you're never outside of the presence of somebody in your path. That's mental illness that's not being closeted anymore as well. And that's what the people of the state, that's what the demon possessed are doing. The entity is providing evidence against itself while I have documentation of engineer light, while I have documentation of the fake sun, while I have documentation of multiple police departments conclusively stalking in that specific environment using helicopters, the hallmark. And the Ontario Police is providing evidence against its co-defendant stalking me every single day and night using helicopters as well. And using the police vehicles, but the hallmark is the helicopters, and I stated that at the outset. This is why you have LAPD under the fake sun as I'm remaining in Los Angeles, including on this day, in that specific environment. This is the entity stalking using the hallmark of, meaning the entity is, when you see the helicopter activity around me, you know that they're stalking. That's how heavily the entity is engaging in helicopter activity. And I don't care how many miles the helicopter activity is. The entity it's called relevant positioning. You need to understand the OVITT Family Community Library. You need to understand that the city of Los Angeles. You need to understand that the Ontario City Hall, Paul Leon, the demons that are in traffic off of, let's say, G Street and Vine, that's around the corner, they're all monitoring me. It's relevant positioning. There is a radius, a zone, first of all, that's in the immediate environment. The entire city is monitoring. This is evident to you to understand that because the entity keeps a whole fake sun over me. That's demonic. This is where Satan's operation of stalking me through all of the people is underway.
All right, now as I speak this truth, a whole bunch of psychopaths are keeping their head down, and Engineer Light is swimming all through this building. Amelia is going to be prosecuted for it. Okay, the manager that's on site, the lead, this is what I'm stating. In the same way that the demons that are gang stalking in commercial planes, the business of that airport is going to be produced in a federal prosecution. The business of Starbucks is going to be produced in a federal prosecution. This is how it's called production. You're going to produce your records because I'm going to prosecute you, literally by your work schedule. Who was in the office that day? Who was in the cafe that day? Because they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. All right, the entity, and my documentation is coinciding with that. You were gang stalking me on June 4th, June 5th, June 6th, June 9th, June 13th, June 14th, June 15th, June 16th, June 19th, and you're going to prison for it. And you were doing so with the Ontario police that are on video, gang stalking me 3 times that day while I'm at the cafe under the fake sun in your presence by helicopter. You're going to prison. And you're going to produce the records of that business. This is how it's going to, the entity has no idea because they're more focused on stalking and they've never been accustomed to scrutiny at a common sense level, and they certainly have never been prosecuted and legally analyzed for their satanic behaviors, which is domestic terrorism. But I'm going to teach them, and a lot of them are going to prison. And that's what justice requires for terrorists and sex offenders that act at this level, threatening the lives of American citizens. And it's all state conduct, all of it. It is currently 10:36 a.m. Let me finish these license plates, but I wanted to give that to preface this. The entity is engaging in what is ongoing traffic of a population stalking me together. And as I begin processing my podcast, the entity is engaging in what is this maniacal pacing. They start pacing in and out of the bathroom, and the engineer light starts shining. It just appears on the inside, all over my person, and all over. And so while they walk in it, that creates what? Their shadows. While they're pacing back and forth, and their shadows are pacing all across, monitoring in that engineered light. And they're doing so pursuant to real-time knowledge about what I'm doing on the video of the internet. And what's so pathetic about the demon possessors, it's everything that they're doing, including purchasing drinks at this venue, is about me. And that's also why you're going to drain the pockets of Starbucks. You're not holding on to any profits while you were gang stalking me. And in addition to that, damages are going to be designed to devastate that company that should be known, and it will be known as a sex offender. It's going to be known as a domestic terrorist, gang stalking American citizens and supporting that, encouraging that, facilitating that, trying to insulate it. That's what Starbucks is going to be known for, because that's what it's doing, and that's what my documentation years before 2025, years before it. And it's sitting on a record, and they're going to be publicly exposed for it. And that's bad business. Starbucks, believe me, no business wants to be known by that, but that's exactly what they committed. That's exactly what I documented, and that's exactly how it's going to be exposed. Bare bones. And in addition to that, I'm going to prosecute you for it. License 8AFL892, 7:48 a.m., 8HNR252. And this olive skin male with the heavy facial hair and the white pickup truck, license 22564U3, gang stalking and monitoring my vagina in the bathroom as I documented, remaining engaged in surveillance in the cafe while I'm being terrorized with impossible light pursuant to monitoring me. They're monitoring while this impossible light activity is underway. This is what I documented him engaging in yesterday, and he was present this morning. And then he goes and is engaging in surveillance by remaining seated in his vehicle. It's all criminal. The entity, you're not protected inside of your car. You're not protected where you pay rent or your mortgage. You're not protected at your job. You have no place of belonging. It's a place of being able to easily identify you because the government is engaged in criminal surveillance, and there is no protection for the government to be insulated from a prosecution of keeping an American citizen under surveillance, not even through the people. In fact, it is the exact opposite. It is a specific means and a precise means of knowing exactly who you are and how to prosecute you. You work there? That's federal prison. You live there? Oh, that's federal prison. Oh, you systematically, continuously go? That's federal prison. The entity is monitoring the documentation. So you choose to keep stalking every day. And so you have to make hard decisions, keep going to work or going to prison. Okay, well, the targeted individual shouldn't have to be subject to it. And so, again, you're talking about the balance of interest. Your interest about going to work so you can gang stalk somebody with the state, it's less important than the life and the well-being and the liberty rights of that targeted individual. And if you want to compete, you're going to prison. You're going to prison for that. So, like I said, this is the government that's gang stalking through the population, and the entity is getting itself in trouble. So while the entity is systematically stalking with light, demons that can't control themselves on Euclid Avenue, and demons that can't control themselves in planes and helicopters, and demons that can't control themselves with light activity while they're stalking, the demons that are sitting inside of the cafe are being documented. And they're incriminating each other. And in addition to that, there is no demon that's remaining in mystery. Every single last one. I will get your name.
I can find out and document you and prosecute you. It's not going to be something, oh, I'm only going to get 20 defendants because I didn't go all throughout downtown Ontario and get that whole neighborhood over. That's not how it's going to go. That's not how it's going to go. But like I said, I'm giving you a sample as to how you're going to prosecute an entity for what is a crime committed by a government through a population. All right, so you're going to bully them. That malice that the entity uses, that's going to be flipped on its head. And that malice is what is informing a commensurate prosecution. All right, license 8HNR252, license 22564U3. And this is relevant to Title 18 terrorism. So their mental illness is exhibited while they begin the stalking with the impossible light activity. It's flying all over the place. It's flying and doing gymnastics, the tornadoes of light. The mental illness of the entity is put literally in your face when you see that. When I'm showing you the fake sun that's over the same sidewalk at 8 and you're seeing it still there at 12, at 1, at 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're seeing it over the same logo at 6, which is what I literally have documentation of. The mental illness of the entity that is gang stalking is put at your forefront. It's not closeted anymore. All right. When you see the Ontario police gang stalking in helicopter flying in circles, when you see them in the middle of the night crossing paths with me in helicopter, their mental illness is put at the forefront. And there is no projecting your mental illness conditions on the targeted individual. The mental illness of the entity that is gang stalking me is going to be put at the center of the controversy of their case. There is no relevance with regard to the mental health of the person that's being targeted and proven that you're targeting. And so you're going to keep on targeting because you think that a reaction to that is going to be substantial evidence that's going to suggest, oh no, see, we're not lying. She is mentally ill. These demons are delusional. First of all, that's not going to happen. Second of all, that is not mental illness. Third of all, you are delusional. You're delusional. You are a criminal who's gang stalking, and you are thinking in your mind, in your sick, demented mind, that where you continue engaging in criminal conduct, thereby you're going to discover mental illness that's going to support all of the criminal activity that you engaged in. This is what these demons have concocted. And that is literally the false logic that they must be entertaining to give me night after 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 day after day after night of evidence of you gang stalking me in helicopter as a whole city. And it's evidence against the people of the state. I'm documenting them every day. It's the same Ontario Police Department at night and during the day under the fake sun. This is again, the entity that is fully surrounded. The entity is a gang stalking me with a bunch of demons, and I have them surrounded. I have them surrounded every corner. But like I said, this is Title 18 terrorism. The mental illness is put on full display. The light activity, the fake sun, the gang stalking by the government directly is the evidence of the domestic terrorism and the psychological torture that the people of the state share in. And they're doing so on behalf of the government that has no constitutional authority under the state and federal constitutions whatsoever. It doesn't exist. Neither does it exist to do it with the people. And the pattern of conduct proves that that's exactly what's happening. There's no controversy here. There's no question. I've already prosecuted the case. It is literally going to be handed to a tribunal to handle, but the work is done. The investigation has been completed. The proof is there. And contrary to what the delusional demons tell themselves, by gang stalking me more, you're going to find and generate, no, you're not. No, you're not. It's never going to happen. And it never happened. And that should not be how you are engaging in what is defaming people, because that's what that is. The entity is targeting American citizens and manufacturing mental illness conditions. This is a travesty. It's outrageous. Okay? But nonetheless, I want to document these license plates. The entity begins pacing, and the entity is molesting my person with light, and the demons pick up in traffic. All right, so the status inside of the Starbucks is directly relevant. The business of Starbucks is directly relevant and tied to what I'm doing as I do it. Okay, so license, at 7:54 a.m., the entity that's stalking with light entering into the venue, stalking with impossible light activity, 8HNR252, and at 7:54 a.m., all you're doing is repeat and that's how you know that they're demons, first of all, and this is how you know it's one entity, and this is also how you know that they're not strangers stalking you. They are all aware of who you are, and they are specifically targeting you while they share in the pattern of conduct. Opening up the door, one person after another, with this flashing, thunderous light all over the ground, will not make that a natural occurrence. What it does is it shows a pattern of conduct, and that conduct is also demonic. It's supernatural, which makes it beyond a reasonable doubt that you're targeting the same person in the same way. That's what that does. It makes it beyond a reasonable doubt based on the level of the evidence, the type of evidence that it is. You couldn't even make it up if you wanted to. All right, so 7:54, it's literally on repeat, so I'm going to read these license plate. 9NQZ959, 8PRZ819, 7:58 a.m. The Ontario Police, excuse me, the Ontario Police Department, but it's specifically it's the City of Ontario that is stalking in the path with light activity adjacent to ARCO, which is across the street. So let me go ahead and quote ARCO's address. Because ARCO is gang stalking and the City of Ontario is gang stalking while being adjacent to ARCO, creating a flashing of light using the City of Ontario vehicles. And ARCO is located at 434 North Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. And they are gang stalking. And this is where the City of Ontario is in position, creating light activity in relevant position, just like the third party that enters into the venue, making a delivery to the gang stalkers of the Unicare Community Medical Center, the Unicare Community Health Center. There are a bunch of demons wearing scrubs, gang stalking under the fake sun. Delta Airlines flying over that establishment, gang stalking. Okay, gang stalking me while being in the medical profession. That is something that is a direct contradiction to your ability to be in the medical profession. Your intention, your practice, your routine engagement in, your gratification, your participation in psychologically torturing somebody, and you're in the medical field, that is directly in contradiction to somebody being in that field. And like I said, gang stalking police officers, you're out, you're going to prison. And gang stalking medical professions, while you're engaged in kidnapping, you're going to prison. But gang stalking medical professionals, nurses, CNAs, whatever your profession training is, you are out of the medical field. You are a threat. You are a whole threat, and it's not a secret anymore. You got the demons coming in here wearing scrubs, gang stalking me. And you know what they're doing? They're demonstrating for you the fact that there is no exception to this population that's engaging in it. It's not across race lines. It's not across socioeconomic lines, like I've stated, and it's certainly not across, there's no barrier with regard to what area, what field they work in. In fact, the demons, they're like cockroaches. They come out of the crevices as I speak the truth about them, as I document them, as I show them under the fake sun, as I expose the fact that they're monitoring my vagina. They're like cockroaches and they come out. So the demons that are gang stalking wearing scrubs in the medical field, they come right into Starbucks, gang stalking, molesting me with impossible light, psychologically torturing me, targeting me in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. And then they want to be somebody that appears as though they're engaged in what is the provision of healthcare, healing, not doing any harm to people. Gang stalking is directly opposed to that. And it is something that, with regard to the nature of the crime, it's terrorism. It's that which is committed as an entity. And when it's on your criminal record, you're not going to be able to get into the medical field. And that is, praise God, for the benefit, the safety of American citizens. Where you have psychopaths roaming around in hospitals, having access to people that they can harm and maliciously do so, which is the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring, harming people and getting away with it because you're keeping your back to them and you're not connecting, you're not talking, you're not touching them, so I'm not doing anything and you can't prove that I'm doing it to you. Those type of psychopaths have no business in the medical field. No business in the medical field. But nonetheless, 10:48 a.m. and ARCO is indeed located at 434 North Euclid Avenue. I'm going to continue with the license plates. License 9NQZ959, 8PRZ819, like I stated. City of Ontario at 7:58 a.m. stalking in the path on Euclid Avenue with light activity. License 8POA438 at 7:58 a.m., 9BKN206 at 8:04 a.m., 8KVT309 at 8:15 a.m., 9NYJ553 at 8:29 a.m., 8GJK687 at 8:31 a.m., 7BOZ059, license 12905A2, license 9TCP406, license 9LUA621. And I want to reiterate the deportation policy as well. You're engaging in what is domestic terrorism, first of all. You're a terrorist. And you've been granted the privilege to be here. You're engaged in gang stalking. In other words, you're violating the law. But not only are you violating the law, you're engaged in un-American conduct with a corrupt government. You're targeting another American citizen. And you've been granted the privilege to be here. You are going to be enthusiastically deported out of this country. I applaud it. You're not welcome here. I look at the entity that's gang stalking, and they are not assimilated. They are hostile, as though they have some sort of right to be here, and that's not the case. There are laws here, and the privilege to be here, just like I would respect another country.
and I would not disrespect the people of that country. And I would appreciate the privilege to be in that country. And if you can't appreciate that or respect that, then get out. Simple as that. The entity is engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, and the demons are hostile to law and order and policies that uphold law and order. All right, but they want to sit in this country while you actually hate it, while you're targeting American citizens. You don't like it here, then get out. And you're not going to have a choice. You're going to be deported. You're a gang stalking immigrant. Prepare to be deported. It is currently 10:50 a.m. This is P.O.C. at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is keeping the fake sun and the psychopaths at Starbucks are stocked with amplified audible activity. This is occurring through what is the sound inside of the walls, like boom, 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 like the elderly people that are gang stalking in Unit 55, and it causes the ceiling and the walls to crack, like she's Superman or something. No, she's a demon, and they're stalking with amplified noise in the engineer light, which fills the cafe. This is why you don't provide evidence to a prosecutor who's going to always connect all those dots. They're very highly unintelligent. All the demons together couldn't put it together and figure out, maybe we shouldn't show our hand like this, but you know why they are? Because they're stalking. Because they are obsessively stalking, and they are going to go down stalking together. It's 10:51 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity bathroom monitoring and maintaining presence in the path. As I come out from the restroom, someone is seated in the path with regard to, first of all, they're stalking in the path while you're in the bathroom. The intent is monitoring, and they're present as you walk out of the bathroom. The entity, it's just that it's especially egregious when the stalker is walking in and they're stalking in the path and they're monitoring you in the bathroom. And they're the same demons that are flinging light. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Do you mind if I just get a cup of ice, please?
A cup of ice, yeah.
Yeah. A small one would be fine. They always give me a big cup. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's funny. It's egregious when they're walking in. It's a stalker, but you need to understand the elements of monitoring underway when they're on the opposite side of the same wall. Thank you. And no one is sitting there. They were all on the opposite side of the building, in the cafe where the fake sun's in alignment to me, and they're all stalking in the path in the cafe. I go in the bathroom. That's all public information, and everything that's going on in there. And then the entity is maintaining presence in the path. Someone is seated there with regard to crossing path as I walk out of the bathroom door. And this is the manager. And doing it under the guise, again, Starbucks business, conducting an interview while she's engaged in bathroom monitoring. This is, again, conducting an interview under a fake sun, conducting an interview in this impossible light activity that I have a wealth of documentation of. It is currently 11 a.m. This is, again, a RICO case. Just in case you did not know, I'm simultaneously gathering facts for what is a RICO case against a corrupt business that's engaging in what is an egregious and un-American crime, and it's in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, and it is criminal surveillance as well. All right, it's currently 11:01 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, license 71676R2. And coolsys.com, COOLSYS. License number is California 1026949. Light Commercial Solutions. I don't think that their business license is going to justify gang stalking. That's not what's built into business licensure for businesses in California. And these are the things that are going to disincentivize gang stalking. When you lose your accredited status, when you lose your licensure, when that business is plagued with that reputation of engaging in gang stalking and using a license to do so, using your training to do so, using your position to do so, using a business to do so, because that's what CoolSys is doing. License 6527183, and the fake sun deviates from being over the sidewalk to being over me in the back parking lot, where I am, by the way, at 4 o'clock in the evening, and it's over the back parking lot. And Ontario Police is gang stalking as well. Vehicle 1021. Let me document, because this is federal prison. License 71676R2. Crossing path is threatening me while the demons of the Ontario Police are keeping me under surveillance and know what I'm documenting. That's federal prison. It's 11:05 a.m. So is CoolSys. Engaged in what is gang stalking. So is the entity that's gang stalking inside of Starbucks. Alana is gang stalking inside of Starbucks. The entity is, Saul is in there gang stalking inside of Starbucks, monitoring with the Ontario Police. Vehicle 1021, that's federal prison. They were doing the same thing with C. Torres, that's federal prison. They're doing the same thing with Corey Watson, that's federal prison. They're doing the same thing while the entity is gang stalking me by helicopter at this Starbucks, that's federal prison. They're doing so with the entity that's doing maintaining the fake sun and the engineer light. And this license plate of Cool Sis, license 6527183. They're engaged in domestic terrorism and threatening the lives of American citizens while they're gang stalking with the police in real time. There's no coincidence under the fake sun and an engineer light that the demons who are engaging in surveillance with Starbucks and everybody in Starbucks, while that demon crosses path, while they're stalking all day long in helicopter, keeping me under surveillance, and so are the people of the state. All right, license 7SVY517, stalking with the Ontario Police Department. Every single last person. And a Cool Sis license plate again, 6527183. That's again license number, the business license number, California 1026949. And that business and that third party operating that vehicle, both together threatening my life and safety while gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department, having a pattern of kidnapping, having a pattern of engaging in what is stalking and monitoring me. License 9TMV165, gang stalking with the Ontario Police. License 9NCT416, gang stalking with the Ontario Police. All of them. And the Ontario Police cross path on Euclid Avenue as well, surrounding. License 9KLJ004, gang stalking with the Ontario Police. Doing so with a minor child. They're all engaged in federal stalking as well. License plate 9RXF519, gang stalking with the Ontario Police. They're doing so in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. SN364, handicap, gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department. JTS9919, that's a Texas plate, gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department. It is currently, by the way, 11:07 a.m. Ontario Police simultaneously cross path driving what is north on, this is F Street, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. So are the Ontario Police. They do the same thing in helicopter. The fake sun is here at 6:39 a.m., 6:33, where Corey Watson is gang stalking, and they're crossing path again in vehicle number 1106. I'm glad they're openly threatening because they're going to be disbanded. Vehicle 1680795. Ontario Police gang stalking pursuant to criminal summoning. Okay? They're talking. You know who they're talking to? The demon-possessed people of the state. All right, this is P.O.C. sitting around talking to a demon sitting in a wheelchair, bearing weapons, monitoring me, and looking at a third party. That's mental illness exhibited. Everybody's license plate that I just read is engaging in that P.O.C. It's currently 11:07 a.m. This is P.O.C. I'm going to go into video. Alrighty, this is the entity that has the fake sun that's over this same parking lot, by the way, in the evening when I'm here. The entity has the fake sun over the same building at 618, where this department is gang stalking by helicopter. And this is called criminal summoning. This is what Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and what is B. Hook are engaging in with Tracy Banks pursuant to criminal summoning when they're engaging in what is gang stalking under the fake sun, and they're exhibiting mental illness while they're targeting another person, and they're doing so pursuant to what I'm uploading on the internet. So they're outside of the cafe, gang stalking with the people of the state. This is activity creation. They're going to prison. License 1591659, vehicle 1021. They're going to federal prison. Impossible lights moving on the wall behind them. They're demons. These are the same demons stalking by helicopter at night, and they're gang stalking with the people of the state. Who are the people of the state? The demons stalking with impossible light. That's who they're centering their attention on while they're gang stalking me. This is the outward demonstration of demon possession by a corrupt gang stalking police department. It's an oxymoron. They're being disbanded. Vehicle 1106. They're both going to prison. They're both going to prison. Gang stalking bearing weapons. Gang stalking. That's what's your name?
Officer Ornelas.
Ornelas is going to prison. What's your name? What's your name? Before you hop in your vehicle, let's just get his face.
How am I going to prison?
This is it. You're going to prison for gang stalking. That's audible activity. Keep talking. That's prison. That's a vehicle 1106. Here's the fake sun. Remember where it's at 6 o'clock in the evening. They're gang stalking. This is criminal summoning. This department engaging in repeated kidnappings. You're going to prison, and I know you hear me, Satan. They're monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, and they're out here with the people of the state. Vehicle 1106, license 1680795. They're both going to prison. There's the Ontario International Airport adding evidence against them. P.O.C. How's it going, Vincent?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine.
We're just make sure everything's okay.
You are? Or they are?
Let's make sure everything's okay over here.
What happened?
Everyone wants everything to be okay.
You were talking to this person, right?
Yeah, we're trying to help them.
Oh, okay. So I don't know was Vincent helping you with that person?
Take care.
Yeah, I didn't think so. You're going to prison, Ontario International Airport gang stalking, and Vincent coming out monitoring with them. Okay? The entity is doing so. Remember Corey Watson's under the fake sun at 9:18? This is the same department under the fake sun over me at what is 11 o'clock. Vincent wants to run out, engage in the P.O.C. Vincent's going to federal prison. He's gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. That's in the same vehicle, with the same department at 247 where C. Torres, that's impossible light across the building. That's not the product of sunlight. That's the product of criminal monitoring.
All right, and Vincent runs out, wants to engage in what is fraternizing with the gang stalking police pursuant to federal prison. He's hostile because he knows that he's being documented. He's a gang stalking demon. That's federal prison while you see them conversing together in the specific environment. C. Torres is under the 2:47 p.m. fake sun. The Ontario Police Department is gang stalking under the 6:18 p.m. fake sun that's over the same building. The Ontario Police Department are gang stalking under the 9:18 a.m. fake sun that's over the same building in alignment to me, while Corey Watson, badge number 80548, is gang stalking. The entity is engaging what is criminal summoning by focusing their attention on the people of the state while they're gang stalking me. And this is, again, what Tracy Banks is engaging in, criminal summoning with that corrupt department that's gang stalking me all night. Stalking by helicopter. You just saw a daytime iteration of the same P.O.C. with the people of the state. The demons that are stalking with impossible light while they're driving by and it's flying inside of that building, they're gang stalking. The fake sun's reflecting off of that windshield. They're monitoring. They're monitoring. Those officers are going to federal prison. Those are not law enforcement officers. It's criminal surveillance. And the Ontario International Airport literally did a donut over the Unicare Community Health Center to add evidence against them. This is the unintelligent system of gang stalking. This is P.O.C. That's a demon stalking in the path with their foot on the brake. License 6AAE040, meeting at the path. The fake sun is going in the same position that it is when I arrive at 7 in the morning. This is P.O.C. Remember California Highway Patrol at 6:39 a.m. This is the same intersection. That's Chevron right there. 6:39 a.m. The fake sun, which was evidence of remaining over me, stalking, which is what Vincent is doing while he wants to walk out and go talk to Ontario police as though, oh, what is it that I surmise that you're speaking about? That there's always a problem when I'm walking out not talking to anybody? I'm not talking to anyone. The entity is engaging she's not talking to anybody, right? The entity is monitoring you right in your face and is assuming that they're being documented when they don't have any evidence of it though. If they're not listening, if they're not paying close attention, if they're not gang stalking under the fake sun. All right, that's P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 11:12 a.m., where the entity is already maintaining the fake sun over me in Los Angeles, and it goes back over to the front entrance, and this is exactly where the fake sun remains after 6 o'clock in the evening, where the Ontario police engage in what is flying in circles over me in a helicopter at 6 o'clock in the evening, and the fake sun is at the same location, where the Ontario police are engaged in surveillance and using criminal summoning. When you're in a corrupt police department and you have to have a reason for being present, they're engaging in what is criminal summoning, a basis to be present when they're stalking in the path and it's clearly shown to be stalking me. That's called malice. They committed kidnapping when they engaged in what you just saw right now, criminal summoning. And Vincent walking out, Vincent and everybody else inside of this video is gang stalking, and they're also sex offenders monitoring my vagina. All right, that's P.O.C. Excuse me. This is crossing path. This is the same venue where you're seeing engineer light inside of the door when you're opening and closing it, and Vincent is stepping out monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, jumping on an opportunity to talk to the police about what he knows is being documented and he should not know but for gang stalking me. It's currently 11:13 a.m. This is P.O.C. That's audible activity, 66890Z3. This is P.O.C. Ontario International Airport, City of Ontario, gang stalking. On an ongoing basis, no Terminal 2 or Terminal 4 over here. This is East Street and Euclid, 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun remains for 12 hours. That's where the City of Ontario engage in criminal summoning the City of Ontario, Ontario Police. Nathan Morgan is going to federal prison, so is C. Torres. This sun that's right here, it remains over here at 2:47 p.m. like I documented. In June, I believe June 11th, C. Torres is gang stalking at this venue. And he's doing so under the supernatural environment. He's stalking just like the City of Ontario is using the international airport that's deviating from the terminals in order to engage in crossing a path and activity creation, enabling all these demons that are monitoring on communication devices as well. And there is no sun that would be at the same time over me in Los Angeles, where LAPD is engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct. Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are all going to federal prison. That was criminal summoning, and pursuant to criminal summoning with demons that are stalking in the path with light, stalking in the path with my back to me, reversing, which is light activity, keeping your foot on the brake, which is light activity under the fake sun that's still here, where C. Torres is gang stalking at 2:47 p.m. and it's still here. That's P.O.C. California Highway Patrol, Ontario Police Department, 6:39 p.m., 6:18 p.m., gang stalking by the state. This is P.O.C. All right, impossible light activity while the third party on video, license 66890Z3, crosses path. He's monitoring with the Ontario Police Department. He's in the drive-thru on video, gang stalking with the entire establishment. And so is 9 RSB 361, a white Camry, gang stalking in the parking lot, and you see on video 8JRF 819 gang stalking in the parking lot, doing so under the fake sun that, like I stated, that is still here when I remain at the venue. And as I depart earlier today, the fake sun is not going to remain after 12 o'clock and after 1 o'clock like I'm documenting. It's going to depart from the venue and remaining over me in doing so, which is how you are witnessing stalking by the Ontario Police Department, which I've already shown, because it's not over the Woodside Senior Apartments like it is when the Ontario Police is stalking me by helicopter at that apartment complex, where the fake sun remains for the duration of the day from 6:39, like you saw California Highway Patrol, while it's over me at Chevron, until 6:18, where it's over me at this Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. And it's over Tracy Banks' apartment building still, and where I'm documenting the Ontario Police gang stalking in helicopter under those circumstances. In the same way that they're gang stalking by helicopter where I am at this Starbucks where the fake sun remains all day long. The same circumstance where they're gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library and the fake sun remains over there all day long. The entity is engaging in what is gang stalking while I am documenting the pattern of conduct as well, and also post the kidnapping on May 29, 2025. And those two officers that you just heard me recite their information, their names, their license plates, they're gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport that engaged in what is flying two planes far from anywhere near what is Airport Road while they're hovering over the buildings, adding in what is real-time monitoring conduct. That is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. That is under no circumstances reflecting on the character of the targeted individual. It is direct and damning evidence, direct evidence, not circumstantial. Everything that I'm alleging that the government is doing, they literally did it on video again. It is not going to be any evidence that's going to bear negatively on the character of the targeted individual whatsoever. Those officers are going to prison. They're engaged in stalking me, and they're doing it in furtherance of stealing property, real, intellectual, and personal property, in concert with people like Jason Isaac Fields maintaining a fake marriage, in concert with people like Tracy Banks maintaining a fake conservatorship, while they're gang stalking in furtherance of trying to criminally defame. And gang stalking does not create mental illness. Neither does any of my documentation support the existence of mental illness. Neither do the multiple kidnappings by that gang stalking police department, by the city of Ontario that's gang stalking, support actual mental illness. It is proving my evidence, the mental illness of the entity that's highly malicious and obviously engaging in a criminal monitoring system, clearly targeting by the airport. That's nowhere near any terminal where you would be even in that sky space. Clearly targeting with the frequency of planes in that video that I just documented at that far deviation from the airport. Clearly targeting while I'm showing you the evidence of that supernatural environment with regard to the sun documentation. Why is it sitting there every hour of the day? Clearly targeting with regard to the impossible light activity, where that same police department that I'm heavily documenting and referring to and engaging in a pattern of targeting are engaging in what is that pattern of conduct while they're focusing their attention on somebody else. But that is not actually focusing. Their focus on me is very clear while the fake sun is over my head. While I'm at the venue and the entity is very heavily documented gang stalking by the fire department, by the airport, and by helicopter of the Ontario Police Department. Their focus, while they're keeping their eyesight and their back to me, is not demonstrating that they're not focused on me. Those are psychopaths that are assuming that you are ignorant about the malicious pattern of conduct. And you're not. And they are going to prison. And the Ontario International Airport are very highly unintelligent. Those demons, the identity of gang stalking pilots are going to be provided because they engage in what is kidnapping. That's exactly what they were engaging in at the 7-Eleven at 636 North Vine Avenue when Jason Knighton and Lester Keys engaged in kidnapping in January of 2020. The Ontario International Airport that has no explanation regarding hovering over 636 North Vine Avenue, in the same way that there's no explanation for hovering over the East Street and Euclid Avenue. And in addition to they're doing it in the specific environment where I'm showing you the fake sun over me at the 7-Eleven, engineered light covering me at the 7-Eleven, the fake sun over me at the at Woodside Senior Apartments, the engineered light over me surrounding inside of Tracy Banks' apartment and at Woodside, showing you the specific environment where the entity committed kidnapping and is also targeting by the Ontario International Airport, flying over that senior citizen complex, far from anywhere near any sort of terminal where you're taking off from the airport. The entity is engaging in the elements of monitoring, and they're stalking, maintaining aerial surveillance with the gang stalking police. And the airport is documented in January 2020, engaging in kidnapping with Jason Knighton and Lester Keys of the Ontario Police Department, and they're going to prison for it. The entity that's gang stalking through these Ontario International Airport, these gang stalking pilots, their identities are going to be produced. They are going to prison. They participate in criminal monitoring in furtherance of kidnapping and murder. That's exactly what they're engaging in, especially while the government is gang stalking through a police department that engages in and uses criminal summoning to commit kidnapping. when they're stalking. All right, it is currently 11:20 a.m. The fake sun is no longer remaining over the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and the natural environment does not include the sun being over me in Los Angeles. And the Ontario Police is gang stalking at the apartments in relevant position, the apartments that are at Euclid and C Street. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is documentation referring to the methods of gang stalking by the Ontario Police. The logo, seeing the vehicle. This is the entity that is engaging in the methods of psychological torture and gang stalking, targeting with the entity is keeping the fake sun, as I'm documenting, at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue until the evening when I remain inside of that building like I document. I'm currently at C Street and Euclid Avenue. That is not the natural environment, showing that the entity is targeting, and specifically the kidnappers of the Ontario Police Department, who are engaged in criminal summoning moments ago over the 507 North Euclid Avenue fake sun that moves remaining over me, showing you how the entity is targeting. And so is the Ontario Police Department by being in the path, stalking, knowing where it is that I'm going, anticipate. They're following me every day, and they're following me to and from. Upon my departure last night, that's exactly what they're doing. They're crossing paths with all the rest of the stalkers while the fake sun remains over me. And the Ontario Police Department is gang stalking under the fake sun that's also here, as I'm documenting, on June 6, 2025, and they are gang stalking, not using vehicles in my path, but using the helicopter, crossing path right here at the same intersection at 6:10 p.m. It is currently 11:22 a.m. and in the natural environment, the sun is not going to maintain that presence while merely being over this building at the same time. That's the entity engaging in the conduct of stalking by the airport, which is not a distraction, it's P.O.C. It's the entity gang stalking using the resources of a police department. This is the police department that's being disbanded, gang stalking through the entire police department using all the resources, the vehicles and helicopters, as I'm documenting and showing you the specific environment, which is the shared pattern of conduct with LAPD. The same time of year, the entity is maintaining the fake sun over me while I'm at work in the office, where the entity uses gang stalking as a means to defame you when you are being targeted at work, and the entity is engaging in what is exhibiting mental illness while they are stalking you as a corrupt police department, as a corrupt entity. All right, this is currently 11:22, so let's count the hours, because on June 6, 2025, the fake sun was right here over me in alignment to me while the Ontario Police Department are crossing path, just like this is right here, Ontario Police crossing path, and I've been documenting them gang stalking for years, and the body of evidence is speaking to an inevitable prosecution and exposing what is domestic terrorism. The city of Ontario, that's audible activity. This is all accomplishing monitoring. This is all demonic, and the evidence of that is also the fake sun. 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 hours later, the natural environment will not include the sun being right here over this building, because that's what I documented when the Ontario Police that are targeting, and my documentation, a body of evidence of targeting, stalking me everywhere in that specific environment using planes, helicopters, and also stalking in their vehicles, which is psychological torture and harassment while they're monitoring the evidence. This is the entity following, and the evidence of following is the specific environment. The fake sun that remains over me while they drive away, it doesn't remain over them, it remains over me, which my evidence also shows. And the entity is maintaining the light source that is not over the OVITT Family Community Library as well, which my evidence is also documenting that venue where the entity is engaging in what is ongoing gang stalking by the Ontario Police Department, including by helicopter, and criminal summoning by the Ontario Police. This is C Street and Euclid at 11:24 a.m. The entity departing from maintaining that light source over the Starbucks, contrary to what I'm documenting when I'm capturing the fake sun just yesterday, and I remain at that Starbucks, and the day before that, where I remain at that Starbucks after this time. This is not the natural environment, and nor would the sun be on the same street over the same person, by the way, when I'm on this same street at the Chevron, and I'm documenting the California Highway Patrol at 6:33 a.m. This is under all circumstances gang stalking. It's demonic, and the Ontario Police Department is going to be disbanded for kidnapping. Repeated kidnapping upon criminal surveillance with the people of the state, in concert with the people of the state. The entity being at the end of the street, this is a psychological torture tactic, and it's relevant to the pattern of conduct, the intent to engage in that P.O.C, and it will under no circumstances reflect on the character of the target individual. I'm speaking to the stalking tactics, the monitoring tactics of the entity, the gang stalking police that are going to be disbanded. This is the name of these, Uptown Ontario, Downtown Ontario apartments. This is P.O.C. You're seeing the fake sun move as I move. And 507 North Euclid Avenue, and I'm literally at the head Iduta as well, documenting the fake sun over this building after 6 p.m. as well. The Ontario Police are gang stalking with all the rest of the people of the state. This is crossing path. This is demonic patrolling. This is P.O.C. This is the entity, the City of Ontario gang stalking, and LAPD is engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. All right, documenting the entity maintaining presence in the path and unlawful threats. License 9NPZ588, gang stalking with the police. 2899Y3, gang stalking with the Ontario Police, just like they are at 507 North Euclid Avenue via the drive-through at Starbucks, while the fake sun remains over that Starbucks. That fake sun has been remaining since I've been documenting it before 8 a.m. and I'm there at 11, and the Ontario Police are engaging in what is criminal summoning. 6XTT151, gang stalking with the Ontario Police. 8YFZ596, gang stalking, remember, in furtherance of murder and kidnapping and engaging in the sex offense, monitoring my vagina, while a whole entity, a city, a state is engaged in what is criminal surveillance with a corrupt police department that is going to be prosecuted for kidnappings, and they're also going to be disbanded. And their mental illness is put at the forefront of their criminal prosecution. The entity bearing the logo of Ontario Police, that's a psychological torture tactic. It's relevant to what is an admission to stalking. They're in the path while they do that. The entity is under the fake sun at the same intersection like I referred to in the video at 6:10 p.m. where the gang stalking through the hallmark of what is helicopter activity in relevant position, while the people of the state are in that specific environment sharing, engaging in the demonic pattern of conduct of stalking in the path in the engineer light under a fake sun. Where in the natural environment, it's not going to be at the same intersection like I'm documenting at 6:10 p.m. That's the P.O.C. and the downtown Ontario luxury apartments are gang stalking with the city of Ontario as well. License 8TTS364 in case I didn't read that. And like I've already stated, Wells Fargo, I've been at this venue for OVITT Family Community Library. They committed kidnapping on June 16, 2022, pursuant to false allegations. You're looking at the Ontario International Airport gang stalking. They engaged in kidnapping on that day. They engaged in kidnapping in January of 2020 with Lester Keys, the same Ontario Police Department. They're doing so in the engineer light. They're doing so pursuant to what is kidnapping at Woodside Senior Apartments, where I'm documenting Alan D. Wapner, and the entity flies over the Woodside Senior Apartments where a fake sun is remaining over Woodside Senior Apartments, and this is where the entity is engaging in a tactic. The airplanes from the airport that are taking off are not going to be a cause for competing with my voice and my ability to talk on my phone. That's the Ontario International Airport that's no longer flying north of my location to be over Unicare Health Center at East Street in Euclid. They're targeting by flying right over here at the Ontario Town Square, where the fake sun is also remaining, and that's your clear ability to identify targeting. License 9SHN883, pacing around with the amplified noise of the plane. License 9EED947, pacing around with impossible light activity with the sound of the amplified plane. And they're stalking with the Ontario Police Department in furtherance of kidnapping and murder. The entity that's engaging in kidnapping together. All right, and the fake sun is remaining over me as I walk toward the OVITT Family Community Library, that which I did at a later hour yesterday, that which I did at a much earlier hour the other day, weeks ago, that which I've been doing for years, showing you the fake sun at 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, and the entity maintaining this P.O.C., where it's present at the same location at 6 p.m. License 8PAF is gang stalking. License 8PAF140. License 9JTX290. You saw the fake sun over me at 1:30 and the demon-possessed Ontario International Airport flying over the 280 North Limit Apartments, where they're doing so on video at the C Street. I'm across the street from that library. It's the same pattern of conduct, and the fake sun is not going to be across the street 2 hours from now, where it's deviating to remain over this same venue at what is 1:30 in the afternoon. License 9FMD568. License 7SWT098. And the Ontario Police is being disbanded because they're all stalking with the Ontario Police. CJK8615, that's Washington. And stalking in the path like they were at 1:30 in the afternoon under the fake sun at the same entrance. License 9GJT351. Different license plate, different face, different government name, same pattern of conduct, in concert with the same corrupt police department. Engaging in a psychological torture tactic that's relevant to disbanding the police that are engaging in domestic terrorism, stalking, bearing that logo while they're following from place to place. This is the P.O.C. under the fake sun, and it is equally an unlawful threat by the entity that is gang stalking and engaging in surveillance. License 8YFZ596. This is P.O.C. The City of Ontario stalking in the path using their hazard lights and now crossing path 1564880. P.O.C. License 9SHN883. License 8KVJ162. They're all demons pacing under the fake sun. 8MRM116. And this is what the Ontario Police Department is doing at night, stalking me by helicopter everywhere that I'm going. At the museum, at Woodside Senior Apartments when I'm there, at the TABOR Professional Building, when I am remaining at Starbucks upon my exit, when I go to sit at the bus stop at 531 North Euclid Avenue and F Street, the entity is stalking by helicopter, and I document this. And this is the entity that's engaged in stalking right now during the day while the fake sun is proving who all of the demons are targeting, including the demons that leave an Ontario police vehicle in the path in order to recognize it. And the entity is speaking to what is present in the path. You don't have to be sitting in the vehicle. Obviously, you're there, leaving the vehicle there, and it's an indication with regard to gang stalking. The entity is doing the same thing with helicopter activity. I can't see the demon flying the helicopter. The entity is engaging what is failing at trying to make some sort of, that's not making a narrative that you are making up. The fake sun is there. I'm documenting it. The entity is engaging what is surveillance, recognized through that demonic environment, and their demon possession and their mental illness is shared while they're all pacing around me, while they're under a whole fake cartoon environment, including stalking with impossible light. All right, this is relevant though, because the entity that's going to prison is going to prison and they're not getting out. License 8RBG953, mental illness while impossible light moves across the curb. And the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. Over the Ontario City Hall where Paul Leon is gang stalking. License plate, Paul Leon's a demon-possessed gang-stalking mayor, 5AHL301, is aware of what the Ontario Police Department is engaging in, is aware of what the Ontario International Airport, the gang stalker Alan D. WAPNER sits on the same corrupt city council where planes are not taking off over the senior citizen complex. And a sun does not sit over the entrance for 10, 11, 12, 4 hours, 1:30 p.m. This is, again, I'm at this venue later, and the entity has the fake sun over me right now. Engaging in surveillance, this looks like an Asian male. Engaging in surveillance, license 9GJT351, monitoring with all those demons whose license plates I'm reciting. While they're pacing all around, he sits right in front and gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. And I'm gonna capture an image because this is where the fake sun is at 1:30 in the afternoon yesterday, when I'm still sitting at the Starbucks and I'm documenting all the demons that are pacing inside of that cafe, while engineer light is inside of that cafe and the fake sun is remaining above that cafe. And it remains over me as I walk to this library at a later time yesterday. And all of this is speaking to the specific environment where criminal monitoring of a demonic nature by the corrupt gang stalking city of Ontario, including the Ontario Police, while the Los Angeles Police Department are engaged in criminal monitoring, stalking by helicopters, which is the hallmark while I'm in that specific environment, which is not shared with any natural environment that would occur at Starbucks, on the same street, and the OVITT Family Community Library. This is the entity that's gang stalking and is doing so in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. This is why Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. She is kidnapping with this same entity that is gang stalking by the Ontario Police. She's gang stalking with her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, who's maintaining a fraudulently procured marriage while they are both targeting with the state. And it's relevant to the Ontario Police gang stalking me day and night. That's also why they're being disbanded, so that this government that's interested in stealing property from me and engaging what is psychological torture, which does not equal mental illness. Neither does any of my documentation, which is proving the pattern of conduct. And it's also beyond a reasonable doubt because of the level of supernatural conduct that they're engaging in, such as stalking with light and being under a fake sun, and an airport clearly deviating from where airlines are taking off from the terminals, and doing so at every corner that I'm walking at in the city, and the entity gang stalking under what is a clearly engineered environment where sunlight doesn't ricochet off of cars into buildings, where the sun doesn't sit over a building for 11 and 12 hours, where the Ontario Police Department are manufacturing information while they're harassing clearly in the physical, and they're also harassing while they're gang stalking in the specific environment. They're doing so in concert with demons and thieves, including Tracy Banks maintaining a fake conservatorship. And her mental illness is why she is going to a mental asylum. She's gang stalking and she is a raging psychopath, just like the demons that are stalking under a fake sun that followed from Starbucks right now down the street south to the OVITT Family Community Library, replete with gang stalking by the planes that flew over the corner where Ontario Police are gang stalking, and flying over the library right now where the Ontario Police are gang stalking, intentionally bearing that logo of that police department, where this fake sun remains, as I documented on June 6, 2025. The fake sun is over the same exact location right here, and the Ontario Police are gang stalking at 6 p.m. upon my exit under that enduring fake sun, and they're gang stalking as I walk to that same intersection where I was just at C Street in Euclid, and the entity is keeping a fake sun at 6:10 p.m. It is currently, again, it is where you're hearing amplified train activity. It's 11:35 a.m. and the entity is keeping a whole fake sun because the population is stalking, and that's audible activity, analogous to plane activity, analogous to helicopter activity, when all the people of the state are gang stalking. There are a bunch of cockroaches pacing in engineered light, monitoring me together, and the Ontario Police is obsessed with my vagina, sending these sex offenders to stalk me in the bathroom like they're stalking right now as an entity. This is P.O.C. This is 215 East C Street, where the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct, and the OVITT Family Community Library is also the city of Ontario that is gang stalking. Crossing path with the Ontario Police, 9KIR 924. Gang stalking with the amplified sound of train activity that's criminally facilitating the criminal conduct, the federal stalking by the people of the state. All right, it is currently, again, 11:36 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, capturing the images of the fake sun directly over the entrance. This is where the entrance remains, and then it's remaining over Starbucks yesterday, and it's going to be over the window of the elevator, the staircase, like I document every time I enter inside of this venue, where the entity is engaging with a stalking with that fake sun, stalking as a population, and the entity is engaging in that very obvious and unintelligent pattern of conduct. The fake sun is directly over the top of my head right now at 11:36 a.m., and at this time yesterday, I do not leave the Starbucks until well after 12 p.m., 1 p.m. The entity is maintaining the fake sun with regard to criminal surveillance in the Ontario Police Department, stalking from place to place, doing so directly and doing so vicariously in concert with the people of the state, doing so with the Ontario International Airport, the amplified sound of train activity, which is audible noise in that engineer light where criminal monitoring by a population is underway. And it is demonic. It is the pattern of conduct that's occurring now that I'm outside of the walls of Starbucks, where they're maintaining that pattern of conduct on the inside, gang stalking with the police that are pacing around, just like they're pacing around the city when I'm going from place to place. That's the police department that is going to be disbanded and engaging in gang stalking. Those officers that are gang stalking under the fake sun that's outside over my head, where Vince is gang stalking with them, are going to federal prison. Gang stalking officers that are engaging in criminal surveillance, that have a pattern of engaging in kidnapping when they're exercising authority that they don't have while they're stalking as a police department, they go to federal prison for that. And that is the threat, that unlawful threat, while you're engaging in gang stalking. And by the way, showing the police vehicle in relevant position, where clearly the operator of that vehicle is in relevant position, and the entities engaging in surveillance, as I show in this specific environment, following from place to place, intentionally engaging in that conduct. Stalking is not based on chronology. Stalking is based on the specific environment. And you are before me placing that vehicle in my path in order to communicate a threat. And it's reasonably construed as a threat, especially where the entities engaged in harassment, stalking day and night in helicopter in the specific environment, and also doing so pursuant to the documentation about them, and they're engaging in more of it. And none of it is a projection of mental illness on the targeted individual at all. This is an ongoing systematic documentation of all the tactics of harassment and terrorism by the gang stalkers that are the Ontario Police, the sex offenders, and the psychopaths, and they're going to prison. Again, L. Martinez, B. Hook, C. Torres, and Nathan Morgan are going to federal prison for kidnapping at Woodside Senior Apartments, where, by the way, the fake sun that's over my head now is not over Tracy Banks's apartment at 11:38 a.m., where I'm about to take a picture of the fake sun over my head, and it's also not remaining over the Starbucks where I was at yesterday. And that's just going day by day by day, because the pattern of conduct is such that in a natural environment, none of this would be occurring if what happened in Los Angeles at the same time of year was the natural environment, where I'm documenting on an ongoing, regular, routine basis helicopter stalking, gang stalking and harassment by helicopter in the workplace and in my private space, my apartment in Los Angeles, which has no sun provided, over Woodside Senior Apartments, over Starbucks, over Chevron, over the Omnitrans bus route, over the HUD, the 1627 Holt Boulevard, San Bernardino Transitional Assistance Department. There is no sun that's going to be over the Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard. None of this if that was a natural environment, but of course it isn't, because the entity was maintaining, pursuant to the same pattern of conduct, the fake sun from sunrise until sunset at my apartment, where the fake sun was rising through the living room window and setting through my bedroom window. And while you describe the pattern of conduct of psychopaths, that is not the mental illness of the targeted individual, and for that malice, that is why you're disbanding kidnappers of the Ontario Police for that malice. That's why the people of the state are going to federal prison. It is currently 11:40 a.m. This is P.O.C.
Thank you so much.
I'll be back in a moment.
Perfect.
In the specific environment, this is all relevant positioning inside of the venue, and it's on behalf of the same police department. It's 11:41 a.m. and they're all walking in engineer light with multiple shadows on the inside of the building, which is not caused by the light fixtures in the ceiling. This is called malice, and the Ontario Police are being disbanded for gang stalking with the people of the state at every venue where I'm documenting the same exact environment, which is supernatural. It's demonic, in other words, getting to that supernatural that's relevant to malice, and the entity that is using and relying on ongoing gang stalking is not going to accomplish criminally defaming. I'm showing the system of the purpose of gang stalking to create the illusion of mental illness, and it sorely fails, and the entity is going to be prosecuted and diagnosed for this psychopathic ongoing endeavor that the Ontario Police are at the forefront of. All right, this is P.O.C. It's currently 11:41 a.m.
They're engaging in what is the provision of library services and using the computers and asking questions and using their cell phones and looking up and researching and pushing around book carts and bringing around kids and going and doing the programs under the fake sun and an engineered light, and doing so with the Ontario police that engage in what is maniacal conduct, terrorizing in helicopters and airplanes. This is the people of the state's engagement in that P.O.C. It's 11:42 a.m.
So these two people are back for you after them, okay? Sorry about that, folks. How can I help you
I'm
today?
trying to see if I can sign up for the reading club,
Sure.
or the book club or something.
Okay. So you can either sign up online,
Okay.
or you can fill out the paper.
Okay.
So if you sign up online, it's all through Beanstack. Everything is there. You put your tickets in there. If you want to do it in person, it's here. You color in for every week that you read an hour, and then you would fill this part out when you come in every week.
Okay, I'll do it this way.
All right. Take your time.
Hi.
How can I help you?
I wanted to find out if you guys have any rooms available today at all, or what times you have available.
Yes. Give me one moment. Okay. All right. So, sorry. Here's a pen for you. Okay. So I do need to log in just briefly. One second. Okay, I have availability at 3:30 or later. Is there a 2-hour block you're interested in?
Yeah, 2-hour block necessarily, yes. So 3 o'clock is 2 hours available at 3?
Yes, 3:30 to 5:30.
And do you have anything after that?
Yes, we could go like a 4 to 6 or a 5:30 to 7:30.
Okay, and
Anything
today's
like that.
Thursday, right? Thursday, yeah. I will do, let me see, 3 o'clock.
So I have 3:30. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I
sorry,
think I might have
3:30.
misspoke. I have 3:30 or later.
And it's 11, sorry, 11,
okay,
12,
take your time.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
I
Okay,
will
so
do...
did you read 60 Minutes last week?
No, I
No?
haven't.
Okay. So the goal is 60 minutes a week. So if you want to, you could do like 10, 15 minutes for like 4 days, however you want to work it out.
Okay.
Any reading counts. You read emails, you read the internet,
Whatever,
you read
whatever.
ebooks.
That is
Anything
audible
you read
activity.
Counts. Audiobooks counts as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's it. So then when I come back next week,
Yes.
I fill this in.
Well, here's a pin for you, Annie.
All right. Thank you.
But yes, so you color it in, and then you come in Monday. We'll have a new prize. Our prizes change every week,
Okay.
and then you'll do your tickets and everything like that. Okay.
Just come in next week then.
Yes.
So
As soon
try
as
to
Monday.
read at least an hour.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Here's your pen.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and do 4 o'clock, 4 to 6, right?
Yes.
You can do that.
Let's do that.
Okay, this is documentation pursuant to ongoing monitoring that is ceaselessly underway. Taking images at the same time of what is Abby. She's in relevant position. The entire conversation is audible activity. It's all public knowledge as well. The phones, the computers, it's all pursuant to federal stalking under Title 18. This is ongoing surveillance that the Ontario police are maintaining real-time knowledge all about as well, including the sex offenders where they are stalking me and monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. The people of the state are stalking, engaging in that sex offense in concert with the Ontario police, which represents merely the city of Ontario. The Ontario police are being disbanded. The Ontario police officers are going to federal prison. Any gang stalking police officer is subject to prison. They're engaged in what is an unlawful threat to your life. They bear weapons. They are literally in a position to take your life. The body cams are not a sense of security. I have been subject to kidnapping where they delete the body cam footage like it never happened and nobody asks any questions. In addition to that, the entity is engaging in what is so the body cam footage is not a means of security, which is speaking to arguing against federal prison. The entity is controlling the narrative about why they engage in any act of violence, any act of force, which the courts are in a position to uphold. This is not an act of security. And the entity is engaging what is controlling the narrative as the gang stalkers that are in law enforcement who need to be removed. And you're talking about what is inherently corrupt. And you're talking about what is probative with regard to disincentivizing and also forcefully
addressing this corruption by police that are engaging in what is criminal monitoring and the loss of life that occurs. And it is also reasonable to occur, and that's also why federal prison is necessary, based on the reasonable loss of life where you have criminal monitoring underway by corrupt police departments who are engaging in what is inherently corrupt with the people of the state in order to place them in a circumstance where they're engaging in exactly what I documented: kidnapping, making up information, lied about everything, lied about medication, lied about mental health, some sort of mental health diagnosis, lied about being raped. I've never spoken to Tracy about being raped. And you're paying attention to everything that was stated on May 29, 2025. You're paying attention to everything and speaking to what you're listening to in the background is audible activity.
0 to 18 years old today, right now.
It's an engineered light. It's under the fake sun. And they're monitoring. This is what the Ontario International Airport does, by the way. Sounds plane activity, which is incriminating for their monitoring conduct, as I speak of things that are very damning. What Tracy Banks is talking about on May 29, 2025 regard what are a series of admissions about her monitoring and engaging in criminal defamation. There is no existing medication, never had none, never been diagnosed, have only been subject to kidnapping. The entity engaging in gang stalking the entire time while they're engaging in kidnapping by making up allegations that are not true, and then engaging in what is criminal defamation on paper, referring to previous kidnappings as a means of substantiating some sort of criminal record which doesn't exist. This is all while you maintain a criminally procured conservatorship. This is all while you're having sex with a fake friend of mine who has a fake marriage with me that I know nothing about, while they are conspiring against me as I'm being gang stalked by the Ontario police that she summoned to her apartment and is, through her audible activity, monitoring with the police in all of these specific environments. Just like now, the Ontario police are monitoring, and they're in her apartment monitoring on May 29, 2025, and she is speaking about things that I've never talked to her about. That I never talked to her or said anything. Where did she get this information about being raped? Because I never saw, and if I were, I wouldn't even talk to her about it. That relationship doesn't exist. But I've never spoken of that. I've never told anyone that I was raped before, actually, never. I've never spoken of that. You haven't heard me document that. Do I hold anything back? I tell everything about everyone that's engaging in this P.O.C. And I have not spoken about that. Tracy Banks is speaking about information like she is a high school graduate, very unintelligent, and it's going to be relevant in her prosecution, in the prosecution of the state, in the prosecution of her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, and the crimes committed pursuant to federal group stalking and monitoring with the government. But there has never been any sort of information coming from me. There's also no information about medication. There's also no information about any mental health. Manufactured all of that information on video. This is why I document lying demons who are gang stalking. This is the entirety of that system, and this is the threat posed by gang stalking police officers who are subject to federal prison, period. That's the unlawful threat, a threat to your liberty and literally a threat to your life. All right, you are gone. You're already dead. When they take your life, you're gone. And then even a court case after the fact will not save your life. It's insufficient and the threat is too high. Federal prison is required with regard to criminal monitoring, gang stalking by police officers like the Ontario Police Department. All right, they're engaging in this P.O.C. right now while they're making announcements, while they're coming in and out of the doors, while they're sitting around on books. First of all, they're all monitoring me. Every time that they move, they're all monitoring me, and they're all walking around with double shadows, perpendicular shadows on both sides of the person. That is not created by lights that you buy and put in the ceiling in order that everybody can see. Lights that you buy from Walmart and Lowe's, those don't create double shadows. This is demonic, it's malicious. And they are targeting inside of the library, and the Ontario Police Department knows everything about what's going on. The City of Ontario does. This is how you're stalking with simultaneity to my exit of the venue with plane activity as I walk outside of the Starbucks, stalking literally every move that I make. And the entity is doing so pursuant to knowledge about what I'm stating when the entity is engaging in what is crossing paths, as I'm documenting on podcasts at the Starbucks. And they're engaging in criminal summoning right behind me. And they're what's above my head to know who the focus is, because psychopaths are relying on what the surface looks like. Oh, we're talking to this person over here. We're not even talking to the target individual. The target individual is hallucinating. The target individual is, paranoid. And there is no such issue. We're not even talking to her. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, the malicious pattern of conduct where demons are stalking under a fake sun, and it's telling on everyone. While I document that fake sun remaining over me, it is not in a natural environment remaining over everyone else. And it's also not shared with the environment where LAPD is gang stalking me as well, using the hallmark of helicopters over my apartment, over my head at work. all right? And there is no circumstance where on the interior of a building where you have shadows on both sides of your person. This is the light activity that I'm documenting outside, where my shadow is appearing upright, my shadow is appearing multiple shadows in varying levels of concentration. This is the light activity when the Ontario police are at night at the TABOR professional building, gang stalking in helicopter. It's the same light activity inside of this library right now. And that's what I'm documenting while I'm speaking to the library personnel who are talking to the patrons. They're gang stalking me together. It's called malice. It's public corruption. And the police remain knowledgeable about everything. And that's what's relevant. That's what you're cognizant of when the police are crossing path outside at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where Vincent, gang stalking on an ongoing routine basis with the Ontario police, takes it upon himself to run out and add into the scene. Nothing even had anything to do with him at all. I'm standing in the parking lot. I'm not hitting anybody's car. I'm not yelling at the top of my lungs. I'm not ripping my clothes off. I'm not cussing anybody out. But the entity is focused on me, and that focus on me is not based on their passive aggressive stalking pattern. It's based on the specific environment. The impossible light that's flying through there is informing the malice behind what Vincent is doing on video with the Ontario police, which puts him in federal prison. It's also relevant to federal prison for those gang stalking officers under the fake sun at 11 a.m. It's still there at 2:47 p.m. where C. Torres is gang stalking me in that cafe. But today, when I'm nowhere near that cafe, I'm at the library at 2:47 p.m. The fake sun's going to be over the OVITT Family Community Library. The two are not happening at the same time. Neither is any of it happening while the documentation shows that the sun is remaining over me where I live and work in Los Angeles, where I was subject to federal group stalking and monitoring, domestic terrorism, and psychological torture in the workplace. So I just want to make sure that all of this is understood. The entity is engaging in what is ongoing gang stalking and is doing it under the false idea they're very unintelligent, where they're engaging in P.O.C. And this is because the entity has never been challenged. And that's been by challenge, meaning nobody's ever been able to you're not outthinking them, and that's not because they're smart. They've never been subject to being outmaneuvered intellectually, legally, literally common sense. It's not rocket science with regard to this fake sun documentation, but it's because they are easily overwhelming the ordinary target individual. All right, this is inherently designed to psychologically torture, to get a reaction out of the ordinary target individual so that it creates the illusion of mental illness. It's an illusion though. And that's what I'm stating. I can even speak on behalf of the ordinary target individual that would react like a normal, fragile human being was. I'm not saying that I'm abnormal because the entity is not able to affect me in that way, but I'm stating that I am exceptional with regard to the ability to advocate on behalf of that ordinary target individual in whose shoes I stand, and I understand everything everything regarding the experiences that they encounter. All right, so with regard to that, the entity is unsuccessful in their demonic campaign against me. And not only that, it's not logical, and it's also not supported by the law, what the entity engages in. And even where an ordinary target individual is subject to this pattern of conduct and say they react in one way or another, that's not mental illness either. They're being targeted. They're being targeted by psychopaths that engage in what is keeping their backs to you while they're stalking you. That is harmful. That's causing an average person that is healthy, that is not paranoid, to cause to question everything. Man, the police are everywhere I go, and they're also engaging in what is harassing me in doing so. This passive aggressive type of conduct where they're not looking at you, they're not talking to you, but if you do encounter them, they're hostile to you in one way or another, or you have the people of the state that are summoning them around you all the time, making up information about you while they're summoning them around you all the time. You're subject to what is everywhere that you're going, you're finding helicopter activity, meaning helicopters are literally everywhere that you're going if you're not putting it in terms such as helicopters following you. In the specific environment, it's very specific with the P.O.C. The fake suns remaining over me, they're stalking me in helicopters, and the Ontario Police Department is stalking me in that specific environment. But nonetheless, if they're not using that phrasing, everywhere that I'm going, helicopter activity, which is essentially the same thing, but I've gone through the whole analysis. I have the body of evidence. The entity is gang stalking me in particular. But the ordinary target individual, if they're not presumptuous, and they are not paranoid, they're making these observations, and it is psychologically harmful. It does cause you to question people in your life. That's not paranoia. That's paying attention. This is weird. I'm noticing it, but I'm not sure, but it does seem, and they're also demons that are monitoring you. So they're sitting back engaging in voyeurism. They're engaging in more of what it is that you observe, more of what it is that they think will trigger you. That's psychopathic, such as leaving your vehicle with the logo so that it can be observed and thinking that you're going to get I'm going to start crashing out on the side of C Street and Euclid Avenue because I saw the Ontario police vehicle. That's not what that is, and neither is that what documentation shows. It's evidence. I'm going to prosecute them for gang stalking.
Period. The entity fails to understand that because the ordinary target individual is not mentally ill because they are subject to a form of targeting that is inhumane. A human being is going to react to that. That is not mental illness. That's trauma. That's a human being reacting. That's not mental illness with regard to some sort of a deficiency, some sort of mental incapacity, some sort of mental deformity, if you will, like the entity would like to suggest. Oh, it's not us gang stalking. It's the targeted individual. They're crazy. That's literally the false logic of the pattern of conduct. Well, excuse me, not the pattern of conduct, the false logic of the entities, that entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct. And it's entirely ridiculous. It's entirely ridiculous. The more you engage in gang stalking, the more I'm going to document it. And this is how I have a body of evidence, which is entirely consistent. And it doesn't look like you're just flying over everyone, everywhere that I'm going, in the same way that the sun is not remaining over everyone, everywhere, in the same way that I'm documenting it. You are stalking. That's a pattern of stalking. And the Ontario police are stalking so much. They are exposed to what is a prosecution for traditional stalking in helicopter. Absolutely. It's harassment. I'm documenting the amplified helicopter activity inside of my apartment, inside of Tracy Banks's apartment, where the entity is engaging in what is harassment, interfering with quiet enjoyment at all hours of the day and night. Flying in helicopters should not be creating any sort of earthquake conduct inside of that apartment, where I'm being disrupted in my sleep. This is the type of thing where you are being prosecuted. Stalking is harassment. You can be prosecuted, but why isn't it? Because this is the way that the corrupt system operates, and no one has ever questioned, no one's ever scrutinized it. But this is not rocket science at all. And not only am I exposing it, I'm going to prosecute it. I'm going to show you how the laws that exist are subjecting it to exposure and prosecution, and also laws that shall come into existence. And that's based on what is informed by the malice of the entity, the malice of the demons. You're surrounded by impossible light activity, and they're all acting like it's not happening. You're going to be prosecuted for psychological torture. Criminal monitoring is evident in that environment. And it's also known that you're doing it in the shoes of the government. That's a whole comprehensive prosecution. And the entity is engaging in what is years of provision of that. That's supernatural to have the light flying around inside of a building. I have multiple years of evidence of this, of what is supernatural to happen one time. And I have it over and over and over again. While the demons just engage in that ongoing campaign, they're pacing all around like psychopaths. This is not looking like what the entity intends. You intend to make it seem that the documentation does not make it the target individual, that is myself, appear as though I'm falling apart at the seams. I'm having a breakdown. I'm having some sort of episode. No, it doesn't look like that. Neither is that what this is. It is documentation of unprecedented and egregious group conduct that requires you to remain balanced and focused, by the way, in order to document it in the systematic way that I'm doing so. In order to expose it in the systematic way that I'm doing it as well, in a manner, in other words, that is palatable for it to be understood what they're doing. The entity is failing, but I'm letting you know what the purpose of it. So your criminal conduct does not, it does, and I'm the exception, okay? The ordinary target individual that doesn't have perhaps that skill set, doesn't have all that ability, that also. Okay, so I'm just the exception speaking for the ordinary target individual. It's the same thing, whether they have that skill set or not. That doesn't create mental illness. They're being gang stalked, they're being targeted, they're being bullied. That does not create mental illness. And so it takes an exception to show, first of all, this is documentation. You're not getting that reaction out of me. I'm prosecuting you. They're baboons. Okay, they have monkey poo for brains. I'm literally, you're under a fake sun. Your partner is under this at the same environment hours from now, where you would allege that this is not a fake. What are you talking about? Well, why is it there for 11 hours? And we're not talking about imagination or hallucination. Let's pull out the evidence of the multiple videos and your faces, your badge numbers, and the dates where you are in this environment, and also the ongoing documented harassment of you being present in helicopters. That is, i.e., following me in this environment that is on its face abnormal. And you're always there in helicopters and police vehicles and following from place to place and showing that logo, which is a method of psychological torture. You're not intelligent. You're not cunning or crafty. You're not clever. They're very unintelligent. And the entity that is gang stalking is necessarily doing it in an obvious manner. And with that obvious manner of engaging in gang stalking, it's going to be a pervasive and comprehensive prosecution that is beyond a reasonable doubt. There's no question that the entity is targeting in a very unintelligent manner as well. There's no intelligent way of stalking with amplified audible activity, though. In order to provide activity, audible activity for thousands of people that surround me at the same time, you're going to make something loud in the environment. So everywhere in the city, you can hear the train. That's the unintelligent means of doing that. Everywhere in the city, the Ontario International Airport is flying over.
and all you're doing is a common sense scrutiny of that. It's clearly targeting on its face. How are you flying over the Unicare Healthcare Center at E Street and Euclid while the entity is under that specific environment? The fake sun is there. Okay, this is context clearly, and you are far away from taking off where you're engaging in you're going to a destination when you're going over that intersection and making a U-turn. What are they doing with the planes of the Ontario International Airport? They're targeting. It's activity creation, and it's a documented pattern in that specific environment in concert with the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police and the people of the state who have a very peculiar behavioral pattern as well. While they're present, light seems to be flying all over the place, which is harassment, and it's terrorism because it's so unheard of and weird and creepy. And it's accomplishing monitoring while they're stalking. You're going to be prosecuted for that. It's criminal monitoring, it's surveillance that the government has no warrant or probable cause to be maintaining. The entity is always engaging in this, and what you're listening to me do is not some demonstration of mental illness on behalf of the targeted individual. The entity is literally hostile and sore because they're not able to falsely depict my character in the way the which that they would like to. Based on what the entity would like to suggest, any judge sitting on a bench that applies the law to the facts in a case and renders a judgment is mentally ill, based on what the entity seeks to establish. That is asinine. These are demons that have been overwhelmed with evidence, and they just engage in stalking me in my face again under the fake sun. You're going to prison for that. That's a threat to my life that I just documented. That's a threat to my life. But for holding up a camera and documenting it, the entity engaging in what is shooting me down, period. They're stalking with amplified noise, reminiscent of gunshots. And they think that it's smart to do it over and over again while I continuously document it over and over again. That's going to be brought up in a court when you're being documented as a stalker and everything that stalker did to target. They're not thinking about that. They're idiots, failing to recognize you're being analyzed, you're being documented for a prosecution. And the federal prosecutor is not mentally ill, nor can you falsely depict a federal prosecutor that is single-handedly engaging in an investigation of a corrupt government as being mentally ill under any circumstances. It is absurd what these baboons are trying to engage, and it's not working. And all I'm doing is showing you all the lies. Oh, you're lying about rape, you're lying about medication, you're lying about mental health even being in existence. Why are you making up these farcical, like radical lies? I mean, just as tall as the beanstalk, okay? In the fables that we used to read as kids, like just as the most like exaggerated, hyperbolic, just extreme. Like, why are you coming up with such extreme lies? You could have said Erica has on a blonde wig, okay? But you're talking about some ridiculous, like, where did you come up with that? And the entity is lying right in my face. This is why I document on video. If I am taking medication, what am I going to lie about that for? And while I'm documenting the P.O.C, I've already stated that the entity that's targeting, the evidence of targeting is not going to overwhelm or supersede any pre-existing mental illness at that. Because the pattern of the evidence sits itself, regardless of the health state of the target individual, whether you have chicken pox. If you've got chicken pox and you have the evidence of the P.O.C, guess what? Your chicken pox doesn't become relevant to the pattern of conduct. It's not relevant. Your chicken pox is not the cause of them clearly targeting you under a fake sun and an engineered light by planes and helicopters in concert with the people. That specific environment controls. What am I going to lie about? There's no interest in doing that, and it also doesn't make sense. And I haven't lied about anything. I don't need to lie about anything, but I'm just letting you know the interest in that, it doesn't exist. The entity is manufacturing that because of who I am. The entity is trying to detract from the fact that I am legally trained, that I am coming from a legal background. I did go to law school. I did practice law. I did take the California bar. I am a professional. I am very precise in my analysis. I am very detailed and thorough. None of that are deficiencies or relevant to a mental health condition. Because if that's the case, the medical professionals themselves that are supposed to perform at a level in order to pass your classes, the same thing with those that are in law school, you have to perform at a level to pass your classes, don't you? These are skill sets that you want to acquire in order to succeed in life. And the entity is so desperate, you're bending that backwards in order to... This is ridiculous. The entity is going to be prosecuted, period. The entity is engaging in what is barbaric behavior, and that barbaric behavior is not reflecting on the character of the targeted individual. And the entity just engaged in what is stalking me on video, threatening my life. They're bearing weapons, gang stalking. They're bearing badges of a corrupt department that is also engaged in a pattern of kidnapping and lying in doing so. That's an unlawful threat. They're going to prison for that. And so are their partners, C. Torres, Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, and L. Martinez. They're going to federal prison because they're gang stalking, just like I documented the people of the state engaging in what the people of the state are doing right now inside of this library, which the government, the Ontario International Airport represents the City of Ontario. The Ontario Police Department represents the City of Ontario. The Ontario OVITT Family Community Library represents the City of Ontario. And my ability to rattle out legal analysis and apply facts and to do it accurately and to do it precisely is no fault, nor no failure. That's no shortcoming. It's a strength that the entity is envious of. And so what do? You lie about being raped and being on medication because you can't do what I can do? You're going to prison. You're going to prison. That's the response, okay? Lying demons are going to federal prison. It is currently 12:07 p.m. This is P.O.C. at OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake sun is remaining over me, and I'm still at Starbucks yesterday. I'm documenting the fake sun, and it's relevant with regard to the environment and the pattern of conduct that is underway. While demons are missing the point, and they fail miserably with regard to ongoing evidence proving that they are gang stalking. I already proved it. They're proving themselves that they're gang stalking. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the aerial surveillance. This is a line of planes. This is patrolling. This is patrolling by the entity maintaining aerial surveillance, along with the people of the state that are gang stalking in the path. And this is the light activity that's remaining. Ongoing surveillance remains underway. My two shadows are extending into the street. The entity is maintaining aerial surveillance. It's the Ontario Police Department and the Ontario International Airport that's maintaining amplified audible activity, while the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance in an inaudible manner, and the people of the state are maintaining audible activity and light activity and relevant positioning on the ground around me as well. Exiting the Ontario the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, the Ontario International Airport, hovering over the 280 North Lemon Apartments, crossing path while the people of the state are surrounding in order to molest with light while they're pacing all around me, gang stalking in the specific environment, doing so at what is C Street and at my exit of the library at 215 East C Street, where the entity kept the fake sun today within a 0.5 mile radius from this location, which is actually the entity was covering up the fake sun, so I'm just going to keep it to what I documented today, but I've already documented the fake sun from sunrise until sunset at this half-mile radius, even less than that, because I went from the TABOR professional building to the Starbucks at 507 North EUCLID Avenue, 6:17 a.m., and I'm documenting the fake sun at the same Starbucks after 7 p.m. But today, at around 8:20, I'm capturing an image of the fake sun at 507 North EUCLID Avenue. I walk down to the OVITT Family Community Library. This is where the entity is engaging in surveillance, and this is the same specific environment during the day under the fake sun. It's all engineer light. It's not sunlight, and it's not the sun that remains over a half-mile radius from the Starbucks to the OVITT Family Community Library from 8:28 approximately a.m. until 4 p.m., where I'm documenting the fake sun remaining over me at these two venues when I don't go beyond that address, and it's within 0.4 miles. That's the entity keeping a fake sun. This is where the entity is engaging in surveillance. The OVITT Family Community Library is where the airport is hovering, deviating from taking off from the airports and openly engaging in it while the City of Ontario is monitoring the evidence. And the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking with the people and the airport that's maintaining the elements of monitoring around. So all the police are doing are pacing all around, side streets, back alleys, in traffic, monitoring while the entity is surrounding, and the police are monitoring as well. But this is the entity doing so without the helicopter that I'm perceptively documenting or witnessing, all right? So the entity is doing so by plane over the OVITT Family Community Library as I exit at 9 p.m. And then again at right where I am at the intersection, which is at D Street, where I am capturing my shadows that surround me, and the Ontario International Airport. Sounding train activity while crossing path is the P.O.C. and the engineer light. Pay attention to the shadows. It is monitoring. And Title 18, federal stalking with regard to the use of a communication device. And this is what the entity is doing with the airplanes, the commercial planes flying over me, and then from the OVITT Family Community Library up until what is D Street, maintaining plane activity, hovering over the intersection of Euclid and D when I am approaching what is that Chevron and the Arco. And then again when I am at F as in Frank Street, and the entity is maintaining plane activity. Right now it's train activity, while the people of the state are driving through my shadow. Okay, that's impossible light activity. This signage elongated. They're driving through it. It's impossible light activity. And the entity is maintaining plane activity flying over. And doing so when I'm at, first of all, that's the C Street. And then again at what is a D Street. And then when I'm at F Street. And the people of the state are stalking in the path, making sure that they're maintaining light activity. And this is demonic pacing. This is demonic activity. It's criminal monitoring. And the Ontario Police Department is engaging in it through the same means, traffic, gang stalk with police vehicles, and through helicopter activity. And the entity is doing so while maintaining planes in the sky space, hovering, remaining all night long. It is currently 9:19 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is the pattern of conduct by the city of Ontario that's gang stalking. And today, within 0.4 miles, the entity kept the fake sun, and that's where you saw the Ontario Police Department gang stalking under a fake sun, engaging in criminal summoning with the people of the state while they're stalking me. And that's the psychopathic disorder that is that mental illness that's now no longer closeted when they're clearly engaging in monitoring, doing so in the malicious means that the police are targeting an American citizen. That's all impossible light. That's P.O.C. (8YMF 286). All of this is impossible light. They're monitoring me. License 7ZAF 132. This is P.O.C. This is the Ontario Police gang stalking vicariously, and this is why they are being disbanded. And the Ontario Police gang stalking at the Starbucks today under the 1108 fake sun, where the entity is keeping that fake sun within 0.4 miles from the Starbucks to the OVITT Family Community Library. And that's over from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 8 hours is the time frame that I documented, showing that impossible maintenance of the duration of time in that short span of being on the same street for 8 hours. That's P.O.C. over me on the same street. P.O.C. This is demonic pacing. Demonic pacing, crossing path, 8RQY 672. This is P.O.C. in the city of Ontario's gang stalking with the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government. This is criminal monitoring, P.O.C. This is rising from elevation right here at Laurel. It's not a plane takeoff, they're stalking. And that's amplification. This is demonic. Monitoring, crossing path, light activity, relevant positioning. Pacing. In concert with the entity, pacing. Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 at 2900 Airport Road. You're flying over 4 miles northwest to be over 325 West G Street, and then rising in elevation is not what you're doing 4 miles from the terminals. This is stalking, and they are back here rising up behind the streets off of Laurel. Gang stalking, coming from a distance from the airport. Were you engaging in coming from the Ontario International Airport to rise in elevation here? Stalking with impossible light activity that's occurring on the walls behind me while the people of the state cross path. And you know that it's impossible light activity because all of this is present. They're gang stalking. This is the city of Ontario, and the Ontario Police Department is gang stalking as well. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:37 p.m. That's impossible light activity while the people of the state are gang stalking. This is the nighttime version of them gang stalking during the day when impossible light activity flies, for example, inside of the Starbucks, which is impossible for driving under the sun, for light to appear on the inside of the building, all over the walls, like you've seen, all over the ceiling, through the drive-through window of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. It has nothing to do with the fake sun. The fake sun is an identifying key with my shadows appearing and moving while the demons are at a distance. This is gang stalking where the Ontario International Airport is deviating from 2900 Airport Road, 2500 Airport Road in order to maintain audible activity in the sky space where the entity is patrolling right here in alignment to me, gang stalking by plane. This is what the helicopters of the Ontario Police Department are engaging in as well. And the people of the state are maintaining ongoing criminal surveillance in the specific environment, which is identified here. And they are maintaining it while they drive around, walk around, and the entity sounds train activity, plane activity, helicopter activity, all manner of noise in that specific environment. This is criminal monitoring by the people of the state, and it's demonic. All right. This is the ongoing stalking with light, far from any headlights. P.O.C. And this is the entity that is gang stalking with the police. This is the entity that engages in criminal summoning with the police. This is what the entity is focusing their attention on when they're gang stalking me together, the people of the state and the state directly, engaging in what is criminal summoning. And gang stalking police officers go to federal prison, and so do the people of the state gang stalking with the police. This is the entity acting together. Criminal summoning is the most malicious form of gang stalking by the people of the state in concert with the corrupt police departments engaging in the pattern of conduct like the Ontario police are. And Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are engaging in criminal summoning with this entity on May 29, 2025, where they commit kidnapping in the specific environment at Woodside Senior Apartments in conformity to a long documented pattern of conduct before and after. I'm still documenting gang stalking before they engaged in kidnapping, and they're going to federal prison for it. It is currently 9:41 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the videos you're listening to are documenting the same exact pattern of conduct that the Ontario Police Department is engaging in. The City of Ontario, the entirety of that corrupt government, is monitoring using planes and, as the Ontario Police demonstrate, helicopters in the same exact specific environment in concert with the people of the state. The Ontario International Airport is going to be shut down, and Alan D. WAPNER, as the president, also on the corrupt city council, is gang stalking while the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance via commercial airline planes and flying over my head in helicopters, exactly why the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. The entity engaging in this method of gang stalking by helicopter, as I begin documenting right now, monitoring me and anticipating what it is that I'm documenting. I'm taking pictures and videos. And this is the criminal pattern of conduct that Mike LORENZ is being removed from his position for. And this is what Derek Williams, before Mike LORENZ, was engaging in, gang stalking. And the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. And Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are targeting me on May 29, 2025, just like the Ontario Police Department is targeting me right now, flying over the top of my head at the moment that I begin recording about Alan D. WAPNER's criminal engagement in domestic terrorism, while commercial airline planes are deviating from taking off as expected from an airport where they're clearly targeting in concert with the people of the state, while the elements of monitoring remain underway. And it's the identical pattern of conduct that is also supernatural. And as I document Alan D. WAPNER by name, this is where the demons of the Ontario police, who were already stalking, fly over my head with immediacy. And as I'm documenting that, which is the police department's pattern of conduct of targeting me, flying over my head right now at what is, by the way, 9:44 p.m. at the TABOR Professional Building, where they are in the same specific environment in the videos that you listen to on this podcast and that you will see on video, with the people of the state that are still pacing on G Street and Engineered Light, while I have multiple shadows, and they're engaging in what is terrorism by gang stalking me, flying over the top of my head, which is an unlawful threat to my life and my safety and well-being, while they're also keeping my evidence of them targeting me under surveillance. And this is also why those two demons of the Ontario police under the fake sun at 11:08 a.m. at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue are going to federal prison. This is the gang stalking conduct of the entire Ontario Police Department, who are engaging in the pattern of conduct in concert with the people of the state, and the City of Ontario that is engaging in the pattern of conduct using commercial planes by patrolling over me in relevant position, flying over 323, 325 West G Street, clearly deviating from taking off from an airport, from any airport, especially the Ontario International Airport, where they are hovering in the sky space, and then engaging in poorly mimicking a takeoff as they rise in elevation in alignment to me, which is supposed to be the explanation for the amplified plane activity. It's not an explanation, and it's a clear admission to targeting. You are necessarily coming from an airport in Ontario, hovering to fly northwest, which is over 4 miles from 2900 Airport Road and 2500 Airport Road, where the airport is, to then be hovering over the sky space and rising in elevation over here, as opposed to taking off and making a sharp incline in the sky space and taking off within 2 minutes from the airport at Terminals 2 and Terminal 4. The entity is engaging what is gang stalking, and as I document Alan D. WAPNER, who was also on the gang stalking Ontario City Council, the Ontario Police Department, the same city of Ontario, as you hear, flew right over my head at the TABOR Professional Building. The Ontario Police Department is being disbanded for gang stalking, and they're engaging in what is gang stalking while they know that their criminal monitoring of myself is being systematically documented, which is also why they are being disbanded. And the gang stalking police officers of that department are all going to federal prison. For example, the two on video at 11:08 a.m., where the entity kept the fake sun within 0.4 miles from Starbucks to the OVITT Family Community Library for 8 hours, is what I'm documenting, that duration of time.
time where the Ontario Police Department are engaging in gang stalking and the psychological torture tactic that I documented at 11:21, keeping their vehicles where they're clearly in operation of them to park them within eyesight to see that logo, which is the communication of a threat. And the entity is doing so with knowledge of the fact that their gang stalking is being documented, and it is all ongoing evidence against them, proving that they are stalking and monitoring, and doing so while they're engaging in voyeurism. And their mental illness is also going to be relevant to their prosecution and their removal from law enforcement and the disbanding of that Ontario Police Department. They are also being disbanded because the criminal activity that the City of Ontario is engaging in and that the people of the state are engaging in the City of Ontario, it is because of the criminal conduct of the Ontario Police Department. They are a threat. They cause harm to the public, to the civilian population, and this is also why they are being disbanded. The Ontario Police Department, to fly over the top of my head, also while I am documenting, is speaking to an intolerable level of impunity and malice, and that's also why a police department that has that level of disregard for law and order, directly contradicting what it is that they're supposed to be engaging in and representing and performing, is speaking to that pattern of conduct. For the entity to continuously engage in gang stalking by helicopter does not suggest that they're not targeting me, contrary to what the demon-possessed are continuously engaging in. Their lack of reasoning and logic, their false logic, is that where they continuously engage in the pattern of conduct of gang stalking, that is supposed to rebut the evidence of them gang stalking because they keep doing it. And that is also supposed to support demons like Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, who maintain a fraudulent marriage to me and have fraudulently procured via criminal defamation and gang stalking with this same government, maintaining a fake conservatorship in order to steal property that belongs to me. That does not suggest that you're not gang stalking, and its ongoing evidence provides a wealth of evidence that you are gang stalking. The specific environment remains, and there is no explanation with regard to my line of shadows in front of me and the impossible light that vacillates on the walls while the people of the state who you hear gang stalking in real time with the same level of impunity as the Ontario Police Department remains underway. The entity is going to be disbanded, and the gang stalking police officers are going to federal prison. I document them by name, by badge number, by license plate, by vehicle numbers all the time. Engaging in what is the pattern of conduct equals federal prison for every gang stalking police officer of the Ontario Police. And in addition to that, they're being disbanded. Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are all going to federal prison for kidnapping with Tracy Banks on May 29, 2025. It is currently, by the way, 9:49 p.m. where the Ontario Police engage in a documented act of retaliation by threatening my life, by stalking me by helicopter, flying directly over the top of my head and appearing with immediacy. The moment that I begin recording this is where they are already present in close proximity, flying over the top of my head by flying over the TABOR building where they were stalking in the path right behind me, over this building, and flying over at the moment that I begin recording in order to document this demon-possessed domestic terrorist, Alan D. WAPNER, the president, a gang stalker over a corrupt airport that's engaging in terrorism using commercial planes, who also pose a threat. And this is why the Ontario International Airport is to be shut down as well. The entity is engaging in terrorism using planes, and to engage in psychological torture and stalking using commercial planes is the outward demonstration, first of all, of severe mental illness, psychopathic, and the ongoing inclination to harm other people, including crashing planes where they would harm themselves and other people, where they're going to the spectacular extent of stalking an American citizen, one person, using planes. That's a lot of manpower, that's a lot of energy, that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of effort to engage in it. And that's all that the entity could possibly be doing with regard to flying over 325 West G Street in alignment to me while I'm documenting them maintaining aerial surveillance through the commercial planes. As I walk north, so does the plane activity. And this is where the entity is focusing plane activity, right here where the entity flies over my head by helicopter in the engineer light in concert with the people of the state. It's currently 9:51 p.m. This is the prosecution of the state of California that's engaging in the pattern of conduct, and the people of the state are acting with impunity. They're engaged in ongoing molestation, ongoing stalking, and surveillance with the Ontario Police, and that's exactly why they are being disbanded. And the gang stalkers that engaged in kidnapping are going to federal prison, and they're not avoiding that because the criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct by the people of the state is demonstrating that the Ontario Police Department are still gang stalking, and they're doing so speaking to necessarily disbanding upon kidnapping while gang stalking an American citizen. It is again 9:51 p.m. This is P.O.C. at the TABOR Professional Building. So pay attention to what you just listened to again. I want you to listen to that again, rewind. At the moment that I speak the name Alan D. WAPNER, the entity begins helicopter activity with immediacy. This is, again, the entity that's engaging in what is hostility, retaliation, is sitting around engaging in what is voyeurism. As I document, they're stalking and monitoring, engaging in psychological torture, and sitting around watching me experience and document it, and then engaging in more of that harm. This is the Ontario Police that's engaging in violence against a woman, that is enforcing her rights, and the entity engages in more violence as I enforce my rights, and they're sitting engaging in more of it as I do so. This is psychopathic. It's exhibiting mental illness by the Ontario Police, and I mean the entire department is demon possessed. In the same way that I've proven the system of gang stalking, the entity has proven its mental illness, and you need to know that it's the entire department. Every single person in every department of that police department is of the same condition. It's the criminal engagement by the entire population, and it is the citywide criminal conduct, and the Ontario Police Department, every single member is engaging in the pattern of conduct and suffering from the same mental illness that the entity that is gang stalking me is suffering from. It's demon possession, and it is a national security threat. It's a threat to the public, which they are to themselves, and they are to other people, while they engage in things such as stalking an American citizen, that they're engaging in this voyeuristic endeavor, stalking, monitoring, harassing, terrorizing, sitting back and watching, and as I document, engaging in more of that harm. As I speak the name Alan D. WAPNER, you immediately hear helicopter activity. The stalker was already there, and they engage in what is communicating a threat while they monitor via helicopter activity and flew directly over the top of my head. At the TABOR Professional Building, the Ontario Police is being disbanded. This is P.O.C. It's 9:54 p.m. All right, documentation of, I want to be clear, it is not only Tracy Banks that is being prosecuted while the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police are pacing around in planes and helicopters, gang stalking. This is the city of Ontario that she committed kidnapping with. Jason Isaac Fields is also engaging in what is gang stalking me, and doing so interested in stealing property that belongs to me, in the same way that the government is interested in stealing property from me, and thought that gang stalking me would accomplish criminally defaming me in order to steal that property that belongs to me. This is why you have a criminally procured, and also through fraud, a conservatorship, some secret conservatorship and some secret marriage, while you're engaging with Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are sex partners. They're in this sex ritual, this sex cult, as worshiping Satan together. They're demons together with the demon possessed that are gang stalking. They're all gang stalking me together, and Jason Isaac Fields is being documented. Tracy Banks is being documented, while the entity is at 10:11 p.m. flying over my head by helicopter at the TABOR Professional Building to stay out of line of vision. The Ontario Police is gang stalking. And doing so in a perceptible manner. So that's what I document in video after video. The entity sounds helicopter activity, starts flying around in circles, showing that they're mentally ill while they're stalking me, communicating a threat even in doing that. The entity flies out of vision, but amplified helicopter activity sounds. And as the moment that I start recording, the city of Ontario, the demons of the Ontario International Airport are on the opposite side, 325 West G Street, stalking in planes, dipping beneath, by the way, elevation, because they're not rising in elevation right here, sharing in the elements of monitoring the Ontario International Airport by plane and helicopter. The airport is being shut down. The police department is being disbanded. The entity is going to produce the names of demons that are flying commercial planes in Ontario, and they're engaging in gang stalking, and my documentation is going to aid in that. But there's a comprehensive investigation. This is what the entity that is mentally ill cannot appreciate, but that's good, because the people that need to go to federal prison, that need to go in mental asylums, they need to be unintelligent so that they can be caught and taken off the streets and taken out of positions where they can fly planes and helicopters stalking American citizens. The entity is doing so at 10:11 p.m. in concert with the people of the state. It's currently, I'm at the TABOR Professional Building. It's 10:13 p.m. This is P.O.C. Oh, and this is documentation. What I want to hone in on: Jason Isaac Fields is threatening my life while you're engaging in a position of trying to steal property from faking a marriage with me. I'm documenting you gang stalking me in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. That's how that works. That's the whole motivation behind engaging in that against a targeted individual, and you're going to prison for it. And it's the same with Tracy Banks. She's being documented while the Ontario police that she kidnapped me with are still gang stalking me, which is what they were doing in her apartment, especially when she summoned them there for the purpose of kidnapping. It could not be more idiotic with regard to their criminal activity and the highly unintelligent methods, which are easily laid out with regard to what they did. And then it's clearly it's clear why they're doing it and all the lies that they tell while they do it. And the demons are still gang stalking. This is exactly what they were doing inside of Tracy Banks' apartment. They were gang stalking. It was criminal summoning. And they're going to prison. As surely as the Ontario Police is still gang stalking tonight. Okay, P.O.C. It's 10:14 p.m. Okay, the Ontario Police Department gang stalking with the people of the state. You'll see the images of the people of the state stalking by wanting to be next to me. This is the same thing that they would do at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. The Ontario Police Department that are stalking as an entire police department. They do the same thing in the bathrooms where the Ontario Police is stalking and monitoring my vagina. And the people of the state are stalking me in the bathrooms as well. This is what's going on right now in the specific environment where the Ontario Police sound helicopter. And that's amplified audible activity while these demons are stalking with light. They're monitoring. And they're monitoring while one of those demons wants to be next to me. And it's the Ontario Police that's obsessively stalking me. And that's literally the manifestation of the sick sentiment of the Ontario Police Department. They're all demons. And their obsession with me is manifested through their stalking. And also the vicarious conduct of the people of the state that are stalking everywhere that I'm at as well. And it's literally taking form of being next to me on the sidewalk while I'm sleeping outside, and you want to be that close to me. This is where the entity is gang stalking in the same manner when I'm physically indisposed and my vagina is exposed. And they want to be next to me. They want to pace around in the bathroom. They want to monitor in that private space and during that moment as well. This is why the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. And it is showing their mental illness in every regard. And at the time that this demon comes to engage in what is surveillance in concert with the demons that are pacing, as you hear, the engineer light is what you're hearing. The engineer light is what's coexisting with what you're hearing. The demon possessed are monitoring and they're all stalking me, i.e. their mental illness is exposing why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. These are demons that have no business in law enforcement, and they're stalking me by loitering in relevant position, loitering in relevant position, because this is how obsessed with me the Ontario Police Department are. And that's just the police department that's gang stalking amongst the city of Ontario that's engaging in this corrupt system. The Ontario Police committed kidnapping, and so they are being disbanded. And I am in every regard documenting, and it's pointing directly to that demon-possessed agency that's engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct. And they are so obsessed that the people of the state are crouching next to me in order to be adjacent to my person while they're stalking with light and stalking with planes and helicopters. And that's exactly what happens while this demon comes into the path, which you'll see in the images. And the entity sounds helicopter activity. It's the same elements of monitoring, and it's the demon possessed that are using the bodies around me to communicate the same unlawful threat. Stalking with light while a demon wants to be right here in your face, while they're stalking with amplified noise and planes and helicopters while the demons want to be right here in your face. And it's the Ontario Police Department that are waging an unlawful threat, gang stalking you with the people of the state. The people of the state are gang stalking and showing the Ontario Police Department's obsession with me at 10:33 p.m. This is P.O.C. The demons are molesting with impossible light while they're driving east and west on G Street. And they're doing so while the demons are pacing in the airspace by plane and helicopter. And these are all the demon possessed that are obsessed with me. They're all together obsessed with one person, and that is myself. And their criminal activity is the evidence of that. It is currently 10:33 p.m. where the people of the state are engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, and it is the evidence supporting disbanding of the Ontario Police Department and removal from every single last one of them from law enforcement. They're not just being disbanded. You're not just going to prison for kidnapping on May 29, 2025. You're being removed from law enforcement altogether. They're never going to law enforcement, any type of law enforcement ever again, based on terrorism that they're committing in the United States. It is currently 10:34 p.m. This is P.O.C. The Ontario Police molesting with impossible light while demons engaging in surveillance. While demons engaging in surveillance with them are pacing on G Street, stalking with the police department that's being disbanded. P.O.C. All right, the demonic pattern of conduct of stalking with amplified audible activity with simultaneity to my movement. It's happening outside where all of the city is gang stalking me together. And it's through the form of what is supposed to be reminiscent of the sound of plane engines that just start rumbling the moment that I engage in movement, new movement. which again is pursuant to monitoring while I'm being molested with impossible light activity. This is how I have multiple shadows all around. This is engineered light pursuant to criminal monitoring that's underway in the city of Ontario by the state of California and the people of the state that are obsessively pacing around me, stalking me in the middle of the night with the city of Ontario, in the shoes of the city of Ontario. And the sound of plane engines occur with simultaneity to my physical movement while the obsessed demons place one right next to me, because that's how obsessed they are and how much they are obsessively monitoring me, even while they're going to prison for it. All right, so this is speaking to the national security threat, the demons that are so obsessed, that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they have lost in their satanic endeavor to sacrifice. And this is showing their mental illness because they are still criminally monitoring and stalking, and they're going to prison for it. And there's not any successful sacrifice at all, and they're still monitoring. So that's relevant with regard to the mental illness of the demon possessed who are continuing in that which they are not successful in, and the ways in which they do so is also documenting their mental illness. It is currently 10:41 p.m. The people of the state are pacing, and the Ontario Police Department is going to be disbanded for it. The entity is amplifying plane engines with regard to my every minor movement while monitoring me, and the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded for it. P.O.C. Helicopter activity documented at 10:56 p.m. The entity stalking east over G Street in alignment to me while the people of the state are pacing, and the people of the state want to be right next to me, stalking me as closely as they possibly can. It is currently 10:56 p.m. The Ontario Police gang stalking by helicopter and the Ontario Police gang stalking by the people of the state. This is P.O.C. While the people of the state are engaging in what is a threat by stalking, being right in your face in the middle of the night, stalking. I documented this same conduct at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. Just remember who's going to prison. The gang stalkers under the fake sun and the Ontario Police Department, they're going to prison. They were under the 11:08 a.m. fake sun, and this is the criminal system that they were engaging in with the people of the state. This is demonic pacing, now flying west in alignment to me. This is pacing back and forth in front of me, stalking me. And again, the demon-possessed agency has the people of the state sitting right next to me while they're stalking in helicopter. This is P.O.C. This is the entity demonstrating severe mental illness. We're beyond proof of gang stalking. The gang stalking conduct of the corrupt police department is relevant to the mental illness that is exhibited by those engaging in the pattern of conduct that are engaging in corruption. And this maniacal, malicious, and corrupt, and it's also satanic. It's relevant that it's satanic with regard to mental illness being exhibited by the corrupt government, the agency, the departments, every level of government that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. The Ontario Police is exhibiting severe mental illness while their behavioral health is at literally on display, while they're using a helicopter to fly back and forth in front of me with the intent to harass and terrorize, the reaction that they get is documentation. It's going to be published on podcasts, and it's going to be published all over the internet, and it's going to be relevant in court in order to prosecute the entire agency. And all of the documented gang stalkers of the Ontario Police who are going to be subject to a uniform punishment, regardless of what their form is for gang stalking, being in that role as police officers. They're going to prison. All right. It's an unlawful threat while you're engaging in the pattern of conduct, and that is already established. The entity is demonstrating mental illness as I'm documenting ongoing stalking by the agency that knows that it's being documented as well. That's what's relevant to the entity stalking with light, stalking in helicopters, stalking with commercial planes, stalking with the demon-possessed people of the state that want to sit right next to me while they're stalking directly and vicariously. stalking with the satanic method of all manner of amplified noise. The mental illness of the Ontario Police Department, the entire agency, every individual that's affiliated with that agency, their mental illness as an entity is targeting you. That entity's shared mental illness is put at the forefront of their prosecution, where they will be prosecuted individually, but the entity is suffering mental illness that is put on a billboard while they're stalking me in helicopters amongst impossible light activity in the middle of the night for no legitimate purpose. That's what's relevant to the Ontario Police flying back and forth over 325 West G Street in order to stalk me in engineered light. It is currently 11 p.m. This is P.O.C. And those are the demon-possessed that engaged in flying over my head as I'm documenting Alan D. Wapner. Their mental illness is always put on at the forefront, and that's what you're cognizant of when you're prosecuting federal group stalking and monitoring. P.O.C. The entity flying over the TABOR professional building with regard to wanting to fly over me. I want you to see also, this is, again, the entity patrolling, maintaining plane activity in the sky space while Ontario PD is pacing back and forth. This is what you're listening to on the podcast, flying east and then flying west. And then as you're listening to me analyze their mental health, which they are putting on display while they are stalking me, because there's no mystery. The entity is stalking me. This is why the fake sun is remaining over me, and the engineered light is present during the day in concert with the people of the state that are stalking with the same level of impossible light activity, the same impossible light activity while they're targeting. And they're targeting one right next to me while they're gang stalking in the specific environment. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct by flying over the building right now while they're listening to me analyze their mental illness, which they are proving is in existence while they are stalking me. Okay? Flying right over the TABOR professional building. This is P.O.C. and this is the ongoing patrolling. This is all an unlawful threat by the government that's engaging in criminal surveillance, and this is how that criminal surveillance operates. This is what it looks like, and it's domestic terrorism. It is in the state of California, and it's in concert with the people of the state. P.O.C. Crossing path, light activity, audible activity. Crossing path, light activity, audible activity. Monitoring, ongoing surveillance. And the relevant positioning is underway. The people of the state inside of 325 West G Street, inside of 323 West G Street, maintaining close presence right here in the engineered environment while the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance. It is P.O.C. It is currently 11:02 p.m. This is the entity that is gang stalking with Jason Isaac Fields, who's going to federal prison. In furtherance of murder and kidnapping, he has procured a criminally he has maintained a criminal means of profiting from my demise, which is a fake marriage, while he's engaged in a sexual relationship with my birth mother, Tracy Banks, who is maintaining a criminally procured, and also through fraud, a fake conservatorship that's an entire secret, while the entity is maintaining property that the government is interested in stealing as well. This is how you have judges and attorneys that are not under any circumstances seeking me out and speaking to me about a conservatorship or about a marriage, and people that are claiming property that belongs to me while they're denigrating my character and simultaneously gang stalking with the police that are right now providing evidence against all of them together. That's why that happens, and that's why you're going to federal prison for it. This is P.O.C. The entity that's gang stalking is doing so through every single last person that's engaging in the elements of monitoring on behalf of an entity. Okay? The entity is engaging in this as one, and they are exhibiting severe mental illness while they're doing so. This is actually stalking in the middle of the night on behalf of a government. And that's mental illness 101. Okay? It is currently 11:04 p.m. and it's the criminal conduct that's disbanding the Ontario Police that just flew over my head in helicopter over this same building, which is what they did when I'm documenting Alan D. Wapner by name, who is the gang stalker, the demon-possessed gang stalker who is monitoring me with the people of the state who in the middle of the night are engaging in surveillance by stalking in the specific environment while the police fly around me, stalking in helicopters, and the entity is engaging what is aerial surveillance, maintaining the planes at a heightened elevation, hovering in the sky space, while the Ontario Police and the Ontario International Airport are the means of amplified audible activity, pacing right here where there's no terminals, right here in front of me, and the Ontario Police pacing back and forth and flying over my head. This is P.O.C. That's the pattern of conduct. That's impossible light. That's not coming from the headlights that are a distance away from the wall. The entity is stalking with light, and that's a demon that's coming to engage in gang stalking with the police, and that's a threat to your life and safety. They're being disbanded. All right, it is ongoing P.O.C. with the people of the state and the demons of the Ontario Police pacing in helicopter, and this is an ongoing daily documented pattern of conduct. And the demons that you saw under the fake sun at 11:08 at Starbucks, they're exhibiting mental illness. One of the demons got in their vehicle and drove off, didn't want to speak to me while gang stalking, but does so with impossible light activity if you pay attention to the environment, and the fake sun is directly over me, whom he is stalking while he's talking to the demon-possessed people of the state in that specific environment who are also gang stalking. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct with the other officer that gets in his vehicle and tells me his name. He's going to prison, and so is his partner, and so is everybody else that I'm documenting gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. That entire department is being disbanded. What I stated in the podcast is what I will reiterate here. The entity's mental illness is what is the focal point now, because it's already proven that the city of Ontario, that the state is engaged in criminal monitoring pursuant to what is stalking. The person that you are monitoring is the person that you are stalking. You're necessarily stalking them in order to monitor them, and they're doing that as a whole government operation. It's unconstitutional and inhumane, and it's an illegitimate government interest. And the Ontario Police Department, the entire department, every person, their mental illness is put at the forefront when they engage in what is stalking in the ways in which I've shown. In the face of evidence, while they're engaging in watching their own exposure, while they're engaged in what is monitoring the evidence against them, and they're still doing it while all the evidence is going to be used against them as well. My voice is audible activity. The people of the state are pacing, and the Ontario Police is monitoring with them. It's one entity together. This is P.O.C. It's 11:06 p.m. That's amplified audible activity while the demon-possessed people of the state are stalking right next to me at the TABOR Professional Building. This is P.O.C. And the Ontario Police Department are being disbanded for all of the threatening conduct that they also promote, facilitate, while the people of the state are gang stalking me with them. They're going to be disbanded. L. Martinez, C. Torres, Nathan Morgan, and B. Hook are going to federal prison. They engaged in criminal summoning, and they are incentivizing criminal conduct just like what Tracy Banks engages in while kidnapping me in concert with them. And she's not enjoying any of my property while she has a criminally maintained secret conservatorship that this entity that's gang stalking me provided her in a gang stalking courthouse. The entity is neither is Jason Isaac Fields, and they're going to federal prison while the entity is gang stalking me on behalf of such demons that thought that they were going to steal my property while gang stalking me in order for me to remain kidnapped, and they profit off of it with the entity that's gang stalking. None of them are maintaining any of my property, and everything that's been stolen, that's also going to be returned. But the entity is engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct in an effort to steal property. That's the motive behind having a secret conservatorship where there is no mental illness, having a secret marriage when there's not even any relationship of friendship. There's not even any romantic interest. This demon is having sex with Tracy Banks, a 62-year-old woman, a mother. Okay, this demon, Jason Isaac Fields, is going to federal prison for seeking to profit off of my demise. And this is why he's going to federal prison. This is why he had a secret marriage, because he's gang stalking me with the police that are engaging in what is late night stalking in concert with the people of the state, a bunch of demons. All right, it's domestic terrorism while the government engages in it and facilitates it. And it also requires that the laws in the state of California change. Because the entity is engaging in what is trying to manufacture mental illness in order to steal from, in order to take the life of, in order to take the liberty of American citizens that don't suffer from mental illness whatsoever. And as I've also shown, gang stalking is no demonstration of mental illness on the part of the targeted individual. To the contrary, gang stalking is exhibiting mental illness by those that are engaging in that pattern of conduct. And that's also what you are mindful of when the Ontario police are exhibiting severe mental illness, psychopathic in nature, when they're gang stalking me. And the wealth of evidence is demonstrating that. And that's exactly what's going to be at the forefront of the prosecution of that agency, of its disbanding, of those that are going to be removed from office. This mental illness is directly relevant to their condition. The Ontario police is demon possessed. It is currently by the way, 11:10 p.m. where the entity is amplifying train activity so that this demon that's sitting right next to me, babysitting me on behalf of the Ontario Police Department, that has no legitimate government interest, that's molesting me with the sex offenders that are the people of the state, driving on G Street. This is why, again, the sex offenders of the Ontario Police are being disbanded. The stalkers that are the Ontario Police are being disbanded. It is currently 11:10 p.m. So I'm going to document the people of the state by license plate that are engaging in this pattern of conduct. License plate 7UXM283. License 27380H3. License 7ZLH345. License 9DMD811. This is the people of the state that are gang stalking, molesting with light in the same way that the entity is right now. They're doing it on behalf of the Ontario Police Department. License 9LIW285. Stalking in the path, molesting with light. This is the entity that's stalking right now at 11 o'clock at night. And a demon-possessed gang stalker wants to sit right next to me, threatening my life and safety while the police want to gang stalk and with the people of the state who are pacing in traffic. This is one entity together, and those are the license plates of the entity that are gang stalking, engaging in everything that I am narrating and capturing in video, molesting with impossible light, terrorizing and stalking and harassing with impossible light, while you're criminally monitoring me via impossible light with the Ontario Police that are gang stalking in concert with them in this environment where impossible light is present, while they're patrolling by me in the sky space with planes and helicopters. Those license plates, those are the people of the state engaging in that pattern of conduct. It's domestic terrorism that they're engaging in. And it is relevant to what is the prosecution of the people of the state who are subject to federal prison for gang stalking with the police, like this demon is doing, sitting next to me while the police pace all around me in helicopter and the population paces all around, monitoring together in the middle of the night. It's 11:12 p.m. Again, this is P.O.C. Mental illness is exhibited by stalking an American citizen for no legitimate reason in commercial airline planes. Severe mental illness, psychopathic, the obsession, the extremity, and the ongoing continuation when it's being documented. It is currently 11:16 p.m. and the demon possessed that are gang stalking in commercial planes, their identity are going to be produced and they're going to prison. It's 11:16. They're flying over 325 West G Street at 11:16 p.m. and every airline associated with the Ontario International Airport is subject to that investigation. They're subject to gang stalking. They're all engaged in federal stalking in the state of California, and the names are going to be produced because they're going to prison. This is P.O.C. All right, the Ontario Police Department engaging in pacing over by helicopter in a relevant position with the people of the state. It's 11:42 p.m. and as I reach for my phone to document what the Ontario Police Department already engaged in, pursuant to monitoring me on my devices, the entity starts sounding whistling plane activity like planes are taking off over here. It's the same gang stalking. And 5 minutes earlier at approximately 11:37 p.m., the Ontario Police Department gang stalking by helicopter in the same perceptible manner pursuant to monitoring. And doing so while the entity, the government, is aware that it's being systematically documented and published on the internet in order to prosecute. And it's being exposed with regard to a tutorial to gang stalking, and the government is still engaging in it. Ontario Police engaging in it via helicopter at 10:37 p.m. And that's the Ontario International Airport, the same government, the City of Ontario gang stalking at 11:42 as I use my device to document it. P.O.C.